Need to do? I need to plug my headset in because shit's almost dead from the other night. Hold on. Is that shit charging? I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, cool. All right, I'm ready when you are.
All right, start it up.
I'm already live, by the way. I don't do silly intros. I don't believe in them.
No, we don't have to do an intro.
No, I'm just letting you know.
Just yeah. Well, guys, look. I told you guys I was gonna stop talking about The Last of Us Part 2 because I'm just tired of talking about it. But I got my guy Silver Sky here. We're gonna have a discussion about it.
I put debate on my channel. Fuck it.
We're gonna talk about every aspect of the game. You know, in some type of order. Uh, What do you want to start? Do you want to start with the
Well, it's not. I mean, I feel like you said you gave it a 5, right?
5 out of 10? Yep.
Five out of 5. Oh, cool. All right. Well, in
No, no,
discussion,
no, no, no. Five out of 10.
in a discussion, 5 out of 5. I get it. Makes sense.
5 out of 10.
That I'm not even gonna. I don't even feel like I should. That, just so everybody knows, I don't want to do this. I have no desire to do this. He baited me into this, and then I agreed. And then once I agreed, I was like, shit, I can't go back on it because if you don't know Grim very well, he is extremely good at what he does, and he excels whenever it's just his opinion. So if we were debating, like factual things, maybe he wouldn't be so good at it. But yeah, when you're doing opinion based pieces, it's you are rather challenging to argue with, sir. So I'm not looking forward to this at all. And if you're a Last of Us fan, don't put too much stock in me winning this. Just FYI. So no, we can go. You can go with whatever you wanted to go with as far as the layout of the discussion, as you call it.
All right, let's keep it light.
Okay.
Let's go with the graphics.
All right.
Let's start there.
Where are you at with it? Or well, first of
Um,
all, explain what console version and what were you like? What screen?
Base PS4. I'm playing on a 4K Samsung HDR one.
I don't know what that is.
Uh, no, high dynamic range.
No. I meant the model number.
Oh, the model Samsung I got.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I don't know what model this is. It is 40 something inch 4K TV. I don't know the model.
Fair enough. So you don't have a Pro, I guess.
Nah, I have a PS4 Pro.
Damn, that sucks. So does it? I guess it kind of does some sort of an upscale though, right, on the TV side.
Oh yeah, it every game, even Switch games look great on this TV. It upscales everything.
Okay, fair enough. I've played it on the Pro on a higher end QLED. I think it's QLED. I don't know. Is that was yeah. So I played the Pro with that, the 4K HDR, the whole thing. The first playthrough, second playthrough, I played still on the Pro on a 1080p monitor. So I guess in that regard, I've kind of matched you in that regard, right? So
Well, for me, when it comes to the visuals, definitely a good looking game. I don't share the opinion that it's the best looking game we've seen on PS4, or it's like pushing like people are saying like, oh, this is like the game that's going to show us what next gen is going to be like. I'm not seeing that
what
from this.
what game do you think looks better, or games, I should say?
Oh, I'm playing one right now. Red Dead Redemption 2 looks way better than Uncharted 4. I mean,
Yeah,
not
that's
Uncharted 4. Freaking Last of Us Part 2.
yeah, that's a hard. I was playing with that in my head too, as far as Red Dead, because that's one of my favorite games this generation. That I don't know if it's entirely fair to even compare the two, simply because the Red Dead is a enormous game, So like and they still are able to achieve what they achieve with the amount of detail that they have. So that's remarkable in itself. But there's certain spots of The Last of Us, that Part Two rather, that easily blow it away graphically. But those are like, but it's linear. So again, I don't know if it's even fair to judge them. But like the example of that would be the the forest scene where Abby's getting strung up and everything. Uh, that was just that whole section was remarkable looking. But then again, they also control what you can see. Right? The field of view is what 10 yards square radius. So I mean, that's why the graphic fidelity is so good there and looks so much better than the rest of the game because it's all like all the hardware is just pumping right there on that one little section. So, but that section right there was amazing. The sniper part looked outrageous. I mean, there's a few areas where you're just kind of blown away. So on those spots, I'd say it looks better than anything that's come out so far. But the whole game, it gets rough because like God of War looked really good. Like the polish of God of War was outrageous. You know what I mean? And I would say even Uncharted 4 in some respects were better polished than certain areas of this game. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely up there though. I mean, it's got to be easily top five.
Well, for me, it doesn't look any better than Uncharted 4. It looks about the same. I would say Uncharted 4 looks better because I like the way they use the colors in Uncharted 4. It was more of a vibrant game, and I know we had a discussion when I was streaming this. People were saying, "Well, this game is dark," and I said,
Right.
"Well, the first Last of Us was dark, but it still was vibrant." I mean, personally, I'm gonna sound crazy. I understand from a technical standpoint. Of course, Last of Us Part Two is superior on a technical level, but I prefer the way the first game looks. Matter of fact, I would even argue that there are just better looking cutscenes as well. The scene where
I don't.
Joel, especially in the remaster of Last of Us One, the scene where Joel is holding Sarah, and there's no scene and I don't mean the scene like what's happening. I mean just how it looks, the graphics. There's no scene that looks better
That's
than that.
that to me it seems like you're more basing that off of the artistic style of it as opposed to
Oh yeah, of course.
right
The
because
Last
that
of Us Part Two has like no style. It's like trying to be real, and
no
which
that
deprives.
I don't feel that at all. I don't feel like I see what you're saying, but I don't think it's heavily stylized.
I don't
I
really
don't know how
see
to
a lot of style.
I don't know how to describe that to you. They do it through lighting and whatnot, but and yeah, I don't know how I could justify my claim, but I don't. Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know. It's hard to. I don't agree with that.
Oh, that's
But
fine. I mean, I have to agree, but for me, like that's what I was saying the whole time I was streaming is like the best way I can explain it. Like Red Dead Two, clearly highly detailed game, but if you
clearly,
really look at it hard, you could tell there's an art style, and with the art, I don't know a term for it, but if you ever seen like an old Western painting, if you look, you can tell like the characters don't just look like people; they look like a painting, a
I
very
would need
detailed painting.
I would need a. I'm not to disagree with you. I would just need a to help me understand it better. I would need to see a side by side, like maybe later on Twitter you could hook it up because I'm curious about that. That's a good. That makes sense, especially given the nature of the game. And I imagine you're actually correct. I just can't think of a painting that I could couple with it to do that. I feel like
Yeah, I can go find a painting, show it to you.
I feel like I won't be able to pull it up right this second anyway. But uh, I feel like The Last of Us Part Two did go more for heavy realistic looking, but to say it wasn't stylized is silly. Just seeing the environment. I mean, like the level design and everything was heavily artistic. So I don't. Yeah, that's neither here nor there. We can get stuck on that. Any one topic we bring up, we can get stuck on for hours.
Oh,
So
we're gonna get stuck on that story for a minute.
that's
Unless
fine.
we disagree heavy, but we're gonna. Like, I just wanted to start out with the graphics, like, cause I have no strong opinion on it other than like, it looks good.
Yeah, we
I
both
wasn't
agree.
blown away.
We both agree it looks great, right?
Yeah.
There's no problem with it outside of like what I talked about with my review with Dooley was and I don't know if everybody gets this, but when you move the camera, the environment would look weird sometimes, certain areas.
That's probably just the motion blur.
No, I turned that down. That didn't affect it. It was still there. It was. I don't even know how to
Oh,
do it. I don't even know how to describe it. He had some terminologies for it, but it's not what it looked like. What terms he brought up didn't sound like it was what I was seeing on my end. And it was really bad on the 4K I was on. But when I went to the monitor, it wasn't nearly as present or noticeable rather. So maybe it has something to do with the 4K or something. I don't know. but it looked weird, definitely on certain parts. Almost like it was. I don't know. I'm not gonna try to. I'm not gonna try to explain it again.
Well, let's go on to the gameplay. Now, I know you've been showing off a lot of gameplay. Last was too on Twitter and talking about it a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly, the game ain't no different than the damn first game.
This is the part where I know that you're fucking with me.
No. I know that there's new things added, but as in like I didn't play this game any differently than I did the first game. Matter of fact, I feel like I had an easier time playing this game because let's just start off with the cover mechanic, right?
Okay.
In one way, it's downgraded.
Downgraded.
Yeah, I'll explain because I was trying to say this to Jay Barr, and he just, sometimes ponyism just spreads through. Sometimes
Well,
he's
hold
my
on.
guy, but
Before you go on, just so you know, I have not watched your review or any of your stream because I knew we were
oh, that's
doing
fine.
this, and I didn't want to cloud. I wanted to go into your thoughts on it blind, so I could give you live, natural reactions because I don't. So anyway, I don't know anything about what you've said or anything. So, and I don't know if you watched my review with Dooley and I, but so if you did, then you have a one up on me because you already know some of where I'll go, which is not
No,
fair.
I listened to like it briefly, but I knew we were going to talk. I didn't keep listening.
All right, cool.
But
I'll trust that that's true. You son of a bitch.
before I continue, Dr. Philgood, my PSN is the same on YouTube, Grimpachi. No question mark, but it's Grimpachi. But where was I? So the cover system, it's downgraded, and it can get annoying with AI partners. So how to downgrade it? In the first Last of Us, your AI partners, and it wasn't just Ellie. It doesn't matter who it was, because sometimes Bill would be with you or
Yeah.
Henry.
Right.
Joel would precisely crawl around them, or Ellie, because she's smaller, would tuck underneath him.
Right.
Yeah, in this game, your AI partners would like literally just come where you are and kick you out of cover, and it's gotten me spotted multiple times. It's gotten me killed multiple times. It's really annoying, and they don't like, let's say they're next to me in cover, but not pushing me out of cover, and I need to walk past them. They remove the animation of like
Yeah.
kind of like staying in cover and creeping around them. Now you got to
Uncharted
walk out of cover. Is it?
Uncharted 4 had the hard cover, right? So you could lock in on the cover. But then if there was, and this would even be persistent in multiplayer, when you would go to maneuver left or right on that same cover where there was another person, it would automatically go around him and stuff, right? I too noticed. I don't think I brought it up in the review with Dooley, but so what you're saying, I will agree with you. Um,
Okay.
I don't know if I would call it a downgrade. I guess you could call it a downgrade. The cover system, as far as like when you're combating I feel like is the same, if not better. But that piece with the NPC, I would agree with you. And I thought it was also odd that it's almost like they heard. I mean, I know the criticism from the first game was how the AI, right, your companion, was annoying because they would move around real like frantically and be out in front of the enemy and they wouldn't even acknowledge them. Uh,
Hmm.
so they had fixed that to where the enemies would go after him or whatever. But the downside is that they took more of the God of War approach where the AI would like be gone and then they would just like appear near you for the sake of time. And they also did that to where it wouldn't be annoying because there's people complained a lot about the original one, right, and how they did the AI. So they changed it up, and I didn't like the way they changed it. I felt like it took away from the realism because I could tell that they were what do you call it? It's like they're using portals to get there. You know what I mean? So yeah, and they weren't. There wasn't. I don't know. I can't recall. I've played it twice already, and I can't now. I can't recall if they have similar features where like you could go around the AI. I truly don't remember because I never really cared that AI were there. I was just moving, shooting and moving. But okay, but yeah, so I guess ultimately we agree on that.
Yeah, for me, the major issue with that cover thing was just them pushing me out of cover.
I don't
Or
ever recall that happening.
yeah, they would push me. They push me out of cover. I would get caught.
So they
Or
never, y'all never like, what do they call that? Whenever you pass through objects, like they didn't would just blend into you, like they actually would physically move you out.
Oh no, they have hit detection with you. They won't
Right.
like you won't phase through them. If they did that, I mean, it would have looked unrealistic. But I wouldn't. I would. I'm used to that. That's a
Right.
game thing.
That would have.
You know.
I would rather them push me out than me go through them, honestly. But okay, fair enough. I just don't recall that happening.
Yeah. So that happened with now the new stuff they added, like going prone. The Nothing wrong with them adding that, but it just didn't add anything to the gameplay. Matter of fact, it made it easier to sneak around. Like I played on the hardest difficulty,
I haven't done
and a
that yet.
lot of times throughout the game, I'm going prone because in the first Last of Us, every area where you fight is a set up arena. Now, of course, I know it's the same way in this game, but they try to make it seem more organic,
Right.
more, not like, oh, this is clearly set up to be a fighting zone, right? But what they did to fix that was add a bunch of grass. So in the first Last of Us, you had to be pretty vigilant on, I don't want to move to this next cover point because I got to make sure I don't get caught. This time, because it's grass every damn where, you don't have to worry about that. You can just crawl. And
Yeah, I can see that. Especially, I haven't played it on the harder difficulties yet. But as I was playing it, I felt like that would be an issue. I don't know if that will be addressed on grounded when they finally drop that, because they might have a mechanic on the AI side that makes that kind of obsolete. But as far as my first, yeah, I can definitely see that. That doesn't mean I don't love the way they did it now, though. Does that make sense?
yeah, I'm not saying that itself is a negative. I'm just saying like people when I say, oh, I'm not playing the game any differently than I did in the first one, they're like, but what, you're going prone? I'm like, yeah, but me going prone is no different than is actually
It's
easier.
easier.
Not
It's
saying
easier. Yeah.
it's easier than when in the first Last of Us I had to figure out how do I get over here without getting spotted. Oh,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
go in
Yeah.
the grass.
They made it more challenging in the sense of like on themselves in the way they handle the AI, but because the first game overall is really simplistic on how they approached everything, and with that simplicity comes a level of difficulty that was beautiful in my opinion. This game, again, haven't played it on the harder difficulties. Seems like I could see where you're coming from, but I can't agree or disagree simply because I haven't done it yet. So, but yeah, I can see what you're talking about going prone and just really bypassing a lot of areas.
Yeah. And other new things that added to the game, like the what is it, the aerial touchdown, takedown. I'm be honest, I'm not saying I don't appreciate it. It's just unnecessary and it's not even like, have you done it with Abby and Ellie?
I don't think you can do it with Abby.
No, you can, and it's stupid.
All
She
right,
just
so
jumps down and punches
okay,
punches
so
someone like.
I tried, I was trying to make little cool montages, and
Mm,
I put one of them up on the channel, I think, or I put it on Twitter, I don't remember, but I could do it with Ellie, but I could never get it. It would never work with Abby. I just chalked it up to where she couldn't do it, so I didn't even know you could do it because I tried, I couldn't get it to work.
I did
Yeah,
it on an infected with Abby. I mean,
I
I don't
was
know if that mattered, but
I was only trying on human enemies, so maybe that's the key. But yeah, the aerial mechanic does not that I don't mind it being there, but it wasn't very useful. At least in the playthroughs that I did, because I didn't even know you could do that until after I beat it for the second time. So it's definitely not a core mechanic that's needed in the game. It's not like Uncharted. Like in Uncharted, you fucking need that. You know what I mean? So
oh yeah,
uh,
and then in Uncharted, I mean, I understand that Uncharted, especially before it looks realistic, but clearly it's fictional. Uncharted, a lot of this game just, I said this a while ago. It doesn't take much to look at Last of Us. When you look at Last of Us One, right?
mhm.
We are all aware once you put your hands on it that this stemmed from the code of Uncharted, right? But honestly, when you really look at it head to head, you don't. It's not that similar. This game just straight up reminds me of it brings the rope from Uncharted 4. It brings the aerial combat, but it's just not done as well. The jump looks like like a half cut off version of Drake's jump and not as high, which makes sense because The Last of Us is trying to be more grounded in realism, whereas Uncharted is, a little bit
More,
extra.
yeah, yeah. Well,
You know,
so to me, it reminds me of the very first game because you could jump in the first game too. I just don't think people realize it. It didn't make much
yeah,
sense in the game,
it was contextual jumping in,
right?
which
So
honestly I don't even know why. There is very rare occurrence at times where you jumping in Last of Us 2 matters. It's so rare to the point they might as well just let you get to the edge and press the jump button and they'll automatically do it. It's kind of pointless.
uh, there's some pretty cool stuff you could do, like when you're having fun with it. Is it? Do you need it? No, but there's some fun stuff. Like so, the first game had it, but I only used it in a couple areas on the multiplayer side, so I could get some aerial view of where people were traversing. But you can't shoot while jump or anything in the first one. So, but like that's when I used it on the first one. Like it was just a multiplayer. I'm assuming that's how this game is as well. It's in the game not for the mechanics of the single player, but because of what's going to come down with fractions. That's my assumption.
Yeah. I mean, overall, when it comes to the
Well,
gameplay,
what about
it's
the
definitely solid. What's that?
what about you didn't bring it up the pass through. So holding up an X to go through small spaces, dude, that was just a such a subtle change, but my God, did it change the dynamic of the battlefield? It was brilliant.
I don't. Again, it didn't. It's like going through a door. I just have to press a button to do it now.
Right,
Like
but
the mechanic is like, all right, like, all right, what's a good example in Abby's campaign when you're in the hotel with Lev and the what do you call them
the
things again? The
bloater.
bloater is coming.
Hmm.
And the bloater can smash through walls and stuff. Okay, you can run through cracks. I'm
Yeah,
not
like
saying it looks cooler, but like fundamentally speaking, if there were just more doors in replace of the cracks, it would be the same. It really didn't change.
no,
It just looks better, to be honest.
I don't think I think it's different than that because when you're especially when you're going against human AI and stuff, or even it doesn't matter if they're infected or not. It just made it to where what they did was they the first game had a lot of weight to it and everything you did, like the way the guns felt when you shoot them, whenever the gun shoots you, the impact of getting hit by them or the AI getting hit, like everything about it, even the melee combat is all very weight based, right? And in their engine. So adding having that mechanic, adding the running and going prone, diving to prone, and all, or getting shot and getting laid out on your back, and then being able to shoot from your back, going underneath cars, all that stuff. What they allowed you to do is you could play it methodically, like the first one, and never do any of that, and still complete each level, right? But you could also run a gun like more like Uncharted 4, but it still got that grounded in realism, and so it made for really dynamic situations where you could have a lot of fun running and gunning or running and beating the shit out of people, depending on how you want to play. That just made it fucking awesome, and it also made a lot of oh shit moments. Like even when you're down in the hotel basement, and whatnot, fighting that whatever the hell that thing was, the thing from inside, basically. Like that was just like terrifying. Like all the lights out in the house, surround sounds bumping, and you are running through cracks, and they got that evil thing chasing you. You got that big giant evil thing chasing you. Like it was absolutely incredible. Like I just thought those subtle changes or enhancements to the gameplay made it so much more dynamic. And I'm also somewhat biased in the fact that I'm thinking of how much better it will make the fractions gameplay.
Yeah, I mean this stuff might work out pretty well for the online, but we gotta judge that when it comes out. I have speculation that there's a possibility it may not come out. Hopefully it does though, because I
It's
can see
coming.
the potential.
It's coming out, dude. Don't worry about
I don't know if this is possible. I can hear you clearly, but they're saying can you turn yourself up? I don't know how that works.
it. Turn myself up or turn you up?
You turn you up,
I already,
I guess.
I'm already pretty loud. I feel like.
Yeah,
Okay.
you.
I haven't got that either on my end. Hold on. Yeah, I can do that. Check, 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 check. If I go any higher than that, it's going to be too loud.
I mean, I don't know. I have not played Red Dead so long. I cannot control this damn horse. What the hell is it doing? Get
Oh
off the
man,
horse.
that's to me that's part of the charm of that game is that the gameplay is so wonky. It causes for some hilarious moments.
All right, going back to
So
the
hold on.
gameplay.
So the gameplay, right? Yeah. So you don't find all those subtle changes to be an enhancement, that much of an enhancement over the original.
No, I don't. I don't find it to make. It doesn't take anything away. It doesn't add anything either. It's just
Not even the dodge mechanic.
no, because I mean the dodge mechanic. The first one had I'm doing quotations. A dodge mechanic. You press triangle when someone's trying to attack you, and you would like. I don't think Joel would
Yeah,
not. He
but
wouldn't
that wasn't a
dodge. He would like push
yeah,
them or
but
something.
that's not dynamic though in the way that this one is, because you could dynamic in different directions to do different things and combine them to do like when you're fighting multiple enemies. So the triangle doesn't even apply. It's just an entire enhancement to that whole thing.
Well, in the first game, I don't recall you being able to melee two enemies at once. So I guess that is different now. But again, I'm just not picking. I'm not registering like, oh, this is some different stuff that I've. It just felt like the same thing. Me pressing L1 instead of triangle to dodge or counter. Uh,
It
it's
sounds like
it's
you didn't play with it very much. Like you didn't actually try to go out of your way to make cool shit happen.
no, I played with it pretty well. I played with it well enough to understand to just actually just stand still, dodge. Like I realized that some enemies will try to do like a three-piece combo, and
Right, right, right.
if you just dodge all three, you pretty much will either take them to half health or kill them instantly. I mean, it's the only thing with the dodge button that you use it out. You can use it, which is still something I rarely did. You can use it to kind of like dodge your way into cover quicker. Like if an enemy is somewhat about to see you, kind of just dodge into cover,
Right.
or you
Yeah,
can
yeah. Yeah, but see,
you
like you're right in the sense that you don't have to use it and nothing changes. I get that. But if you choose to use it, then now you're creating your own fun because you can start to throw all those different pieces together that we just talked about. And that's how you make for some brilliant gameplay moments. So if you didn't go out of your way to do that, then I don't know what to tell you because that I feel like those mechanics are going to be needed in whether it's DLC or and for sure the fractions. I mean, it's going to be insane or factions. So I don't know. I mean, I felt like those enhancements were so subtle, but they changed the dynamic of the game so much if you chose to use them.
I
Because
mean,
the
I
game,
used the dodge button a whole lot. I just didn't. I never picked up like. I never felt like, oh, this is different, or I'm playing The Last of Us any differently than I did before. Matter of fact, and we'll get to the story in a minute. I kind of felt like it made the story or the world of The Last of Us seem dumber because the last time I checked, if you get bit or scratched, you're infected. If when you're sitting there popping and weaving like it's just a lot of weird things about the combat and the story conflict with each other. I thought it was really awkward. Like I do realize that Joel stabbed clickers in the neck with a shiv,
hmm
but he did it so quickly, and I can't recall where he puts his hands. But it's really weird when Ellie it has her hands like around the mushroom parts, or
she didn't have
it's
to worry
even
about it.
weirder.
Ellie didn't
Well,
have to
yeah,
worry
she
about it.
does it, but it's even weirder when Abby just chokes him out. It's like, huh? Like you're gonna
Well,
like, what if they? What if it, I know in the first Last of Us, you could choke out a regular infected. Even I wasn't thinking about it then, but even that just is kind of silly because like they're like swatting at you. Your arm is like the whole time I was thinking I had to just let it go. I was like, aren't I infected by now?
I
Like
don't
if I'm
I don't think they've ever addressed if you can get scratched and get infected.
no, I think you can because I remember even in this game, remember the guy I think they mentioned something about like did you get bit, did you get scratched, like any bites, any scratches. I think
They
Bill said that before.
Yeah, they said that, but I don't know if they clarified that it does anything to you. Even though, let's just assume that it does. If we're supposed to go off of like zombies, right? Which they're
Mhm.
not. But if we go off that, then it's just a missed detail. I wouldn't say. Yeah, I don't get too hung up on that in that regard. But as far as choking them out, I'm assuming they're still having artery. It's still artery choke, and they're still blood pumping through them because they're not dead, right? So it wouldn't work on a zombie because their blood's not pumping. But in a infected, it's not. They're not dead, so therefore an artery choke would work.
Oh no, I don't deny that choking them wouldn't kill them. I'm just saying it's just a little weird
It wouldn't kill
when
them. It
you're
would just knock them out. No game ever
when you're
addresses that.
when you're so busy trying not to get scratched or bitten that would even be a thing to do. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, honestly, with the game, I just felt like even the body dismemberment is higher. Like I'll tell you some of the things I felt were. I
Well,
wouldn't say the gameplay is worse. What you saying?
pause. Somebody's asking me why your trophies are hidden. What are you hiding?
Talking about why my trophies are hitting?
Yeah.
Who exactly is asking that question?
Uh, I can't read the font. I'm using the broadcast thingy on the second screen on my phone for the
Hmm.
playroom, and so it's hard to read it. Juan Baradarco. I don't know. Bataraco. I don't even know who that is.
My trophies are hitting because that's how I like them to be.
Fair enough. You're not with the fuckery. I get it.
But hold on, I mean, on all seriousness, my trophies are hidden because you have to be my friend to see my trophies, and I set it up that way because if I go into, I'm not going to go into the long-winded story, but let's just say once upon a time, and David knows about this. People used to go around trophy checking people all day, and I just found it to be weird. That's as simple as that. Like if I'm talking, I find it weird that if I'm talking about a game and you don't like what I'm saying, you want to check my trophies, but then when you realize I played and beat the game and probably played and beat it faster and more than you did, well, what does checking my trophy do? It does nothing.
Yeah.
I have
You
no
don't
time to sit
you don't
here
need to explain it.
and lie about a game. You know what
You
I'm
don't
saying?
you don't need to explain it. Who cares?
Yeah.
What up, Jamal? Uh, yeah. Anyway, so go on. So
But
you didn't try to play with the AI. You didn't have fun with the dynamic of it. You didn't create dynamic situations. I get it.
I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't create any because as Abby, I was like, there was sometimes I would go in the rooms, I'm just beating everybody up. Like, but the things I would say is a little bit not as good. I, well, I get that Ellie is thinner, less strong. She uses the blade.
Right.
I get that the way you simulate how a blade feels compared to a punch is not going to be the same. So
Right.
I just accept that Ellie's melee combat is not my thing.
Right.
Because she's just sitting there slicing it. But I also felt like Ellie's stealth was good. Like the way they did that, it felt pretty impactful when she stabs someone in the throat. But like some of her little melee finishes with
That's
her
that's that
switchblade,
that's by design, though. You know what I mean? So they did that
yeah.
on purpose. Because Abby was playing the role of Joel, basically. You're getting to play as Joel in those moments.
Some of her
She's more brute.
melee. Oh, what are you saying?
Abby's more of the brute. I mean, that's why I called it years ago. Whenever we first saw her, I mean, I called it exactly what the game is. So they're just giving you the when you play as Abby, you're basically playing as Joel and the way Joel would play, right? I mean,
Yeah, but
that's all.
even with that, like I don't know if it was the sound. Now this game has excellent sound. Like playing it, I would suggest you play Last of Us Part Two with headphones on. But when it comes to
I'm having major issues with the sound, and that's where I'm going to take some points off because it's a I don't know if it's on my end or not, but I've posted on Twitter and I didn't get any help. But yeah, I was getting my system was not. You know how like you'll auto detect headphones or stereo or anything like that. Mine was
Mhm.
not. It was only picking up stereo, and so my surround sound had to auto adjust, which fucking ruined part of it for me. And then when I plugged in my Platinum headset, which is what I'm using now, which is 3D audio, it would never work right. So the audio, while I know the audio is awesome because you can tell, it would be better if it worked for me. And it's really kind of disappointing. That's why I haven't played on the harder difficulty because I'm waiting for them to fix that.
Yeah, but going back to what I was saying with the melee combat, like Joel, when I was playing with him and he would punch people, I don't know if it was just the sound in combination that I do feel like the vibration and the impact of when Joel beat people up was stronger than it is with Abby.
Really?
Uh,
I don't feel like that.
yeah, I just feel like when I was beating, like, not only just that, like, I remember there'd be times like my favorite thing to do in the first Last of Us was to pick up a brick and just beat someone in the head with a brick. Like I don't like the way it felt in that game. It felt really hard. Like it felt like
More brutal.
kind of like yeah, it felt more brutal, but kind of like God of War 2018 when you like I know everybody loves using the axe and the blades of chaos, but actually I like using Kratos' fist because it just feels differently.
Yeah, it
It
did. It did.
feels
It felt. You really felt the impact of it. Yeah, I get
yeah.
that. I didn't feel like this. I didn't feel like this game did that. Uh, I didn't. I felt like it did great. I felt like it did a fantastic job of that. I don't. I'm not. I'm not vibing with you on that one.
It does it, but I just don't feel it does it as well as the first game. The one thing I will say that it does do in the gameplay department better than the first game is uh, it has cooler. It doesn't happen often, but there were some cooler combat moments. Both Abby and Ellie swimming combat arena was cool. That I could go swim underwater
Right.
and
Yeah.
creep up like Jaws was fun. Um, I did
Like the
appreciate
you
Abby
like the
had like the best levels, huh?
yeah. You like the set pieces. Like they had some really good set pieces in this one.
Yeah, Abby
Basically.
had like some of the best levels.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it had a whole bunch of better bosses, but it had one boss in particular that I would say is like way better than any boss fight in the first Last of Us.
Oh, my
Uh,
hands down, the boss fights were better. Yeah, I agree.
yeah. What else? What else will I say? Now this is where the gameplay takes a little the pacing, and I mean I'm not talking about story pacing. The first Last of Us was very simplistic in walk, some story or dialogue, like very minimum amount of like it's like pretty much a small area of you're going to collect all your resources, then you're going to the next area to shoot people, right, or fight, whatever, right.
Right.
Last of Us Part Two makes everything more open, which sounds good on paper, but actually it's mad annoying. It feels way longer to get to the next combat environment, and I can get if you're really invested into the story and care about what the characters are talking about
Right.
alongside collecting shit, it might be fine. But for someone, we'll get to the story opinions in a minute. But for me, I just didn't particularly care about what was going on. So not only am I doing like an extreme amount of collecting, and I didn't have to do that, but I was playing the hard difficulty, so I wanted to make sure I had enough shit.
Right.
So I'm collecting everything I can, and now I'm listening to gibberish nonsense in my ear. It just felt like it was too much of that. They could have shortened some of that.
I've heard other
And,
people say that too, but I disagree in the sense that, but see, I come from a place of bias, right? So I mean, clearly you know how much you mean. Everybody knows that. There's no denying that. So I absolutely love this world and everything about it. So I felt like it all went. I didn't want it to end. I felt like it was too damn short. That motherfucker could have been another 40 hours and I would have been tickled to death. So that's hard for me to agree. Or I mean, obviously I can't agree, but it's hard for me to disagree with in the sense that you just wanted to fuck with the encounters. I get that, but like the after game, like once you beat it, they have all the encounters there for you, and there's way more encounters in this one than there was on the first one. So like, there's a lot more shit to fight, a lot more dynamic fighting too on top of that. But so as far as the pacing goes of the gameplay, I don't. I can see what you're saying, but I don't feel like it's much different than like a God of War or something either. Or even, I mean, Red Dead as an example is a little different because it's open world and you can kind of choose to do whatever you want whenever you want. But uh, it's not much from the story. If you just did the story of Red Dead, I feel like it's kind of the same thing in that regard too, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you. I don't,
Red Dead has it has every open world game formula of get to destination, do things at destination, go to next destination, right? But now Last of Us again. Imagine if Red Dead Two in particular has um I don't know if people know this. If you feel like the horse rides to the next mission is long, you can press like the square button or something, and it will do a cinematic horse thing where you don't have to press anything, and
oh,
it
dude,
actually
the
speeds
the
that up.
the best moments in that game are when you do that because you'll fuck your shit up when you do that. You end up getting clotheslined by a street sign or some dumbass will run you over in a cart or dude. So much crazy shit happens when you do that. But yeah, that does happen. You can do that.
It
Yeah,
actually will speed it up, or you can actually. I know a lot of people don't even realize in Red Dead 2 there's fast travel. I mean, I don't expect fast travel and stuff like that being Last of Us, but
right,
it just feels like the whole gameplay wise, like okay, I get it when you're first playing the game, the beginning of the game, not the very beginning, but when you play as Ellie and you're with
right,
Dina and you got to open that gate.
right,
See, I got the game and I was like, oh, the platinum is pretty easy. Let me go ahead and just get this platinum.
right.
And I literally was like, I forgot I got to do this gate shit again. No, I'm not doing this again. Like that's boring. Like it when
I can,
it's your first time doing it because it's the story and you're trying to figure out what's
right.
going on. It's whatever. But then on the second playthrough, it's like I don't want to do this again. And you got if you
I,
want the platinum, you gotta.
I can agree with that. The first playthrough, it all made sense, and I loved it all. But the second time, there were sections that got on my nerves. Like, but that goes with any game. Um, Flashback, anything gets on my nerves. Second playthrough, right? If there's not combat, so I get that. I won't disagree with that. But again, for the first playthrough, it all totally makes sense, and I think it's kind of irrelevant for your second playthrough anyway, because you can just kind of blow through it. Hold on a second. Somebody said they want me to tell their friend happy birthday. I don't tell motherfuckers happy birthday on the internet. No way. I barely do it in real life. You're a grown ass man. You don't need me to tell you happy birthday. So no. Thanks for watching though.
All right, so where were we with the gameplay? So
You're still hating on it. That's all. Keep going.
no. It's just that, like I said, I feel the gameplay was solid. I can't say it was like a trade off. It was better in some places, worse in other places. But honestly, I just pretty much just said it's just as good as the first games. The only major problem I will say, and it's not that major of a problem, is just the AI knocking me out of cover was mad annoying because it got me killed. You know,
Yeah,
other than that,
I don't think I've ever experienced that. I'm not gonna say I didn't. I just don't recall it. But
yeah, they
I
definitely.
believe that happened how you streamed the whole game. I mean, you could probably pull it up. I just don't recall that ever happening to me. Because I did a lot
Uh,
of moving though. I did a lot of running and gunning. You know what I mean? I played it more like I did Uncharted as opposed to the first game for the most part.
oh, the one last thing I will mention is that puzzles are I don't know how to explain it. Like it's like they're not as
They were cool. I think they were just more of like showing off their tech as more so than like actually useful. I liked some of their puzzles were neat in the fact that you had to like watch or you had to pay attention to stuff you were looking at in order to get numbers for safes and stuff like that. Like that was cool, or how you had to do math on calendars or whatever. But the like the cord, you know, like grabbing the cord and doing shit with the cord. Yeah, it's not hard or anything, and you could call it you could call it padding, but I thought it was just neat as shit. Like I just enjoyed doing it. I love how she would coil it up and like you would really do in real life. Like everything about it was just wicked cool to me. I found that really fun to do, and because I appreciated the work that went into it. Does that make sense?
yeah. I just feel like the like traversing the environment in the first game was like I felt the environmental puzzles in the first game were done better. Like in this game, it basically just boiled down to doors locked. Oh, break this window. It's right next to the door. Like, oh, okay. Like, no, there were some that were like you have to kind of figure it out, but that is very rare.
No,
Or like the
if you're
safe
trying,
cracking. Now, I will say the safe cracking. You know, in the first game, you had to find the code and it was automatic.
right,
I do like that in this game, you could just try to crack it, and if you
you
got good
could yeah,
headphones,
you
you
could
could
hear
just
it.
crack it that way. And I did that plenty of times, and that's very satisfying. So that was an improvement.
Yeah, I agree. But well, I don't agree with the environment part. I thought the environments hands down were better in this game. Hands down. Like there's no
There were times like I know this is gonna sound funny, but there were times that I literally was like, "Where the fuck is this ladder?" In the first Last of Us, like, I know I'm looking for a ladder, I just don't know where it is. But in this game, everything just in my face. Like I didn't really have to do a whole bunch of searching or like,
in that
where is
more of
this, where is that?
can you kind of say that? Could you make an argument that's kind of just brilliant on how they can design their levels to where you don't have to search for shit like that? Like I mean, because you can say that that's padding if you put it in places that makes it kind of hard to see because of lighting and whatnot. Like that in itself is lighting or padding because you're wasting time trying to find something when nothing else is really going on.
I would say the point of a puzzle is to have some type of challenge.
But is that a puzzle? Finding and picking up a ladder is not a puzzle.
In the first Last of Us, when they were sitting there, we need to find a way to get across this or that,
Yeah, it's
and
always real simple.
you need a ladder or you need something, but you would have to find it. Now,
Yeah, but
was
it's
it all?
always
Was it like far away? No, but it wasn't just like right next to where you need to go. Like it wasn't.
it's dude. There's parts that were you had to move in the new one. You had to grab a dumpster, kind of like a homage to the original, right? And you had to park it on a hill and then jump on it as it's rolling back down the hill and jump over it again, like jump on a wall. Like there's all kinds of stuff like that that were wicked cool. Like I don't, and even like trying to find all the safes, which I haven't even done it yet. I just did as much as I could possibly do without really like diving too much into it. You have to kind of go through some crazy areas and do some crazy things to get there. So I'm not following you on that. Like there were some pretty cool things in that regard, like finding ladders. There's a bunch of stuff like that was done really well. Maybe you just didn't explore
Uh,
enough.
no, I explored a whole lot. We'll agree or disagree on that one. I just didn't. I'm not saying it's like worse or something. I just felt like it was done. It could just be more of the padding too. That could be. It could be me just getting that mixed in with the padding because again, any puzzles in the first Last of Us, they were in the designated no combat zones, right?
Hmm.
Whereas in this game, they don't do that anymore. Like literally, there could be hitting stuff in an arena area, which
Right.
kind of fucks the flow up a little bit because it's like, all right, I'm in the arena. There's a safe here or nearby, but there's enemies, so I got to kill the enemies. Then do a sweep of the if I care about collecting shit, so do a sweep of the environment I just murdered
That
everybody in.
that's how it was on the first game, dude. For the most part.
Nah,
Yeah,
I
dude.
don't like that at all.
I promise you.
I promise you it wasn't.
Man, I had the platinum, sir. I just did it.
I mean, you might have got I promise you in the first Last of Us, any area where there's combat, yeah, I mean, you could go back and find items like like I'm talking about like
Dude, there's ship doors
significant.
in arena areas.
I don't remember that. I
Like
don't. I
okay,
remember that there might
remember
be
the snowy part? Like just an example, the snowy part. Whenever he's like, Joel's like, he just got done torching those dudes. Where is she? And then all right. So he gets. There's a part where you get to the gas station, and then there's the 18 wheeler to your right, and there's like an overlooked dude, and they're all coming into the gas station, and you fight them all right. Now on that section, if you go straight across the street through the little motel, on the back side of a window, there's a ship door. That's in the arena part. Like there's plenty of situations like that.
maybe I just don't remember that.
Yeah. So no,
But
it's the same. They did the same thing. They just got rid of the shift doors basically.
maybe the shiv doors made a big difference. I don't know.
I didn't miss those at all because I hated those fucking things. I hated wasting my shivs on them. So
Like I said, once Ellie joined the group, he could have easily just borrowed her knife. I don't know why he didn't do that,
that's a very fair point that I will not argue with.
but so
Or
I
use a
think we covered the
machete.
game.
Shit.
I think we covered the gameplay pretty well. Yeah, it's nothing
So
like the only.
up until this point, even if you say it's as good as the first game, how is it not already past or at a bare minimum a six? Like how is it not already better than a five? Like I don't understand how that works. Like what? Okay,
You got to remember the first Last of Us, I gave a 6. This game's a 5. Now,
right,
why?
but you just said right. You matched so it's 1 point less because okay. Let's just assume you hate the story. I'm pretty sure you do. So if you and I don't understand how the first one's a six, but that's neither here or there. If the first one's a six in this game, you've already admitted to me that the gameplay and the graphics are better
No,
for the
no, no, no,
for the
no. You're
most
not
part.
listening.
You
Not
know,
listening.
yes, the graphics are. No, you said the art style and the cutscenes, right? The art style and the
No.
cutscenes is one thing, but the graphics are better than the first one. You might not like the art style.
Wait a minute. You gotta understand me. Of course, it's better. It's on the PS4. It's a PS4 game built
Okay,
for the PS4, right?
right,
So of
right,
course it's better.
right.
But what I'm saying with the graphics, gameplay, I would say is about even. Graphically speaking, though, um, the reason why the graphics, just like the first Last of Us, they didn't blow me away. They were about average for the time. These graphics are average.
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense because everybody disagrees with you on that. Like even in the industry, like people that actually make the games disagree with you because they set the new
Oh
bar.
no, they didn't set any new bar.
They did set the bar.
Honestly, that's just because the name they have, and they could say damn near anything, and people will just nod their head because they
But
have position
their
power.
name was not solidified as one of the greats until that Last of Us came out. Uncharted had not taken to that
That's not
level.
true. Many people deem Naughty Dog one of the greats since
Many,
Crash.
but
It's
not
just
industry
people.
wide. Not industry wide. I
No,
promise you. I
because
promise you.
Uncharted 2, you can even say Uncharted 2 did that.
They no, they yes, they started getting up there, but they were not widely considered the number one dev like they are now.
I wouldn't say they're the number one dev, but
I know you I know that, but I'm saying but a lot of people, not even just gamers. I'm talking about our fans, right? I'm saying like the actual people in the industry. Like when you have
there's a reason for that, and the reason is again money and politics, and I don't mean like real world politics. I'm talking about like the
right,
politics within the gaming community, money, politics, and also when you have people outside of gaming praising a game that they did not play, they just saw the cutscenes, right? They're
right.
praising it more as a CGI movie, and that gets blended in with the game praise. That's how you get all that. Like Nintendo would never get that because they don't make games that are like movies. Now, one day when they do, or if they ever do, then maybe they will. If they're if they're good with that. But that's why
But
that doesn't
even if you don't,
translate.
even if you disagree with that idea, the point is still the same. It's still true. So,
That they're
like
one of the best.
that, yeah. As far as like industry people saying that, and a fuckload of fans, like
I
that's
mean,
a.
of course, people say that, but I don't agree with it. I mean, that's
I, you know,
someone's opinion.
I'm not asking you to agree with it. I'm just like,
Um,
I'm having you acknowledge that that's a truth. That is the truth.
yeah, that people feel that they're the best. I'm
Right.
just not one of those
Right.
people.
It's them and Rockstar. You know, you get the same people always at the very top. My point is that they weren't at the very top in those conversations until after The Last of Us came out because of the way they did facial capture, the way they did hand
I'm gonna be honest.
animations.
I don't know why anyone. I personally don't hear that common gamer compared them to Rockstar. Yeah, you might hear it from IGN and them, but that's because they're cuckoo.
It's
But
all over Twitter. I can show you. I'll start tagging you every time I see it.
I'm not talking about biased people now. I mean, at that, you know what I'm saying? Like that's an unfair thing to like people who clearly just have a bias, like or people who don't have a very limited
Let me ask you this.
palette with gaming.
Let me
Just,
change it up. Let me change it up a little bit.
mm,
Did you like the order?
yeah, I like the order.
What'd you give that?
7.
How the fuck does the order get a 7 and this gets a 6?
Well, one, the order was interesting from a story point. It looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
Solid third person shooting with it had unique guns, not that many, but I like the gun with the you shoot people and then you set them on fire, or the
Right,
lightning
right.
gun.
You like it
And
for
I
all
and
the
I
reasons I do. I love that game to pieces.
and I
But
felt it came and it didn't overstay its welcome. It ended where I was like, oh, this is this is not overstaying its welcome like a lot of big games like to do. Oh, okay, cool.
okay. So, but you're not seeing an issue like you're not. You don't think the gameplay, because there's very few of it, and how much walking there was with nothing happening, not even story. You don't feel like The Last of Us even just gets anywhere close to that as far as scoring. Like
I feel that
that's
I
even
feel Last of Us Part
even the
Two.
first one, because you give the first one a
Well, we're
6.
talking about. Well, yeah, 6 and a 7. That would be close to the 7. The 6
That's
is close to the 7.
but the last, but like really, the order is. You're saying the order is better than the original Last of Us.
Yes.
That is okay. So that puts things in perspective, not only for me but also people listening, because it makes it now y'all see why it's so hard for me to. That's why I was not looking forward to this, because it makes it really challenging to debate somebody that has an opinion so wild like that. Like that's crazy.
There's a lot of
What?
games we can go down the list.
Oh, I know. You and I have done this for years. The red. What do you? I'm now just genuinely curious. What do you give Red Dead?
2?
A 2?
No, Red Dead 2 or Red
Yeah,
Dead
yeah.
1?
Red Dead 2.
Oh, I believe I gave it a 9.
Yeah, I would say I had to make myself not say 10. Like I absolutely adore that game. I fucking love it. So that's see, but that's weird. That's why I feel like sometimes when we do this, it's because you are like this is where I feel like you're trolling me, or you something happens when you play Last of Us. Whether it's did you stream all of uh, Red Dead or did you play it by yourself?
I streamed it sometimes. I didn't stream like the whole
I
game.
wonder if it's something that's happening when you stream games. That's why I don't stream single player. Because when you try to stream single player, at least for me, it takes away from the experience, and I don't get as immersed. I'm too worried about seeing comments and I'm watching views and all the things. Like I just don't get into it like I normally do. So with I wonder if that plays a role in it, or if like you feel the need, like you're not even saying you're doing this consciously, but I feel like you are maybe rushing it or you're trying really hard to nitpick just for the sake of like trolling me or whatever. Like I don't know because like you and I could talk all day about Red Dead and agree on probably all of it. And it seems like we like a lot of the same things. Like just hearing you talk about the order, hearing you talk about a little bit. I've heard you talk about Red Dead and some other games in the past, like Max Payne 3 as an example. You and I agree on a lot of that stuff. So what I don't understand is when it comes to this particular franchise, or even when we talked about Uncharted in certain ways, all of a sudden those same things that you and I both love about other games goes out the window.
Well, when it comes to The Last of Us, I feel the majority of the reason why most people like The Last of Us is because of the plot. It's not now you. I know because you're heavy in the multiplayer. You also really love the gameplay,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people, it's that story. When I
Well,
played The
the
Last of
story
Us,
resonates with me differently than most.
yeah, when I played The Last of Us, I did not care about Sarah dying because I just met that character.
Right.
I felt nothing about that. Now, yes, of course, as you play through the game, I didn't care that Tess was dying. Just met her too. Now, as you play through the game, of course, you grow a big bond with Ellie.
Right.
So, of course, when it seems like she's about to get raped or whatever, yeah, I cared then. But see, the game was trying to force some type of emotion out of me so early. And honest, we'll get to the story in a minute with Last of Us Part Two. Last of Us Part Two does the same thing. I think Neil and his team need to understand that you're going to get certain people like that. You're
Right.
not going to get everybody. Some people are going to be like, okay, someone just died that I don't have an attachment to. I
Right.
just don't particularly care, right? Can I understand why the characters feel how they feel? Of course, but I don't care. So if I don't care, and that's the motivation for things, right? You know, it's not gonna click for someone like me. So when I played the first Last of Us, a lot of the moments, like I'm gonna tell you the key moments that actually hit me. Henry killing himself just because I didn't see that coming. Like I didn't think he was gonna do that.
Yeah, that
But
was really shocking. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't think he was gonna shoot himself. And the ending, that was it. Like everything else was just whatever. Like the ending and Henry killing himself were the only times like some true emotion
So you only care
came
when
out of me.
colored people are mistreated.
Uh,
No,
uh,
I've heard other people say stuff like that. I don't I I can't point to another game that does it better outside of, and I don't want to say too much about it, but because not enough people have played it, and more people need to play it. It's top five favorite game of mine for a reason. But The Last Guardian is one of the greatest games ever made. Um, that game does it in a way that I guess is what you're saying you need more out. Have you played that?
no, I haven't gotten around to playing that one.
Dude, that is such a fucking amazing game. I can't say enough about it. Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I feel like there's a disconnect there with you somewhere on when it comes to like it's almost like your brain's telling you to nitpick or you expect you hold Naughty Dog to a higher standard than
No, it's not
than you
any of
do
that.
everybody
It's
else.
just that see, this is the other thing too that I think other people do with me. When they hear I gave it a 6.5, that they assume that means I don't like it. No, I like those games. I just don't think they're that good. They're good.
Right.
They're like first Last of Us is above average. The second one's an average game.
What's Uncharted 4
That's
to you? Do you remember?
I think I gave that like a 7 or something.
That's
I think
that's wild.
it might have been
Um,
a 6, but I really like Lost Legacy. That was a 8.
yeah, I like Lost Legacy more than Uncharted 4 as
Yeah.
well, but I do want to go back through and play Uncharted 4 again, and just to compare it to this game. Actually, I'm gonna do another little, not necessarily all of it, but I'm gonna play a part of it again. Okay, well, so I guess we can go ahead and get to the story because we'll get stopped down on this shit forever.
All right. Story. Oh dear God. This is a piece of mess. Oh man. All right. So before we get into that, let me just explain. I did see the leaks. However, you gotta understand. I don't have any deep attachments to the characters of the first Last of Us. The story was solid. It was cool, but I don't care that particular character. We're gonna spoil the story, by the way. I don't care that a character died or what. That doesn't make it like some people just hate. Yo, what's up, Captain Crunch? Some people just hate that Joel died, so they just cut themselves out of the rest of the story. No, I don't. That didn't bother me. Now, with that being said, the way the story is told, and I've heard people say crazy things like, "Oh, it's like Pulp Fiction." Like, I think they're just pulling shit out of their ass. This story was poorly told because we have the first Last of Us, and I'm talking about not speculation, not assumptions on our behalf. We're talking about literally the information we know from the first game and the information we know from the second game. Things don't make sense. Joel and Tommy being as stupid as they were don't make sense.
I keep even Dooley says that. I do not agree with that. I don't feel like they were stupid at all.
All right, let's tackle that first. All right, why don't you feel that
Well,
these
I'm
two gentlemen
assuming
weren't being?
you're referring to the fact that they just got let themselves get trapped up in that situation, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, and then I guess the next thing would be Tommy revealing they have a big camp and they just met.
All of that. I do understand their little get out of jail free card, which is they tell us that they've been killing off infected around Jackson. If they find people, they'll try to recruit them into Jackson or just help them along. I know that's what they were their little get out of jail free card of explaining why they were acting like that.
Sort of.
However,
They also have outposts that are further out from Jackson.
okay, fine.
They don't bring him to the main camp. So, and you find a lot of this stuff when you read all these things. Um, like all the notes and stuff, which people take off because they said that you shouldn't have to give what they call intricate details of the story.
That's 100% true. That anytime any game that has, it's one thing if you find some notes that add to the full story that's told to you out front, that add on to the story. But if you're saying that there's literal things that I need to know, but I have to find some random
No,
note that I may or may not bump
right.
into,
No.
you know,
It's like it enhances, for me anyway. It enhances the the matter at hand. Like, so if you outwardly you could think that the wolves are not that bad, right? But if you read a lot of the letters, and it's up for interpretation as well, so it's not clear as day, which I like. But you kind of see two sides of every story in this game, which runs throughout the whole story in itself. But some people that were being quote unquote abused or killed by the wolves viewed them as like the old factions, right? Like the hunters and stuff, just more militarized. Some people viewed them as saviors, right? Same for the quote unquote religious cult. Some viewed them as good, some viewed them as bad, based on letters of people that actually encountered them that were not part of their groups. And so it left it for the player to interpret what those meant and how you felt about attacking said camps or whatever. So I thought that was cool. So it enhanced the story that was already being told, but it allowed you to dive a little deeper into it and make up your own mind. When it comes to the Tommy Camp stuff, there's subtle conversations that you can hear while walking through if you paid attention to them. There's a lot of stuff like that. So when he said we got a camp over 2 hours away, it was misleading. I think the way I interpret it was they sensed shit was off, especially the way they were being greeted and treated. Not that they were being treated poorly. There was just like this, like you, in my opinion, and this bodes well for my daughter that's playing it and my wife that was there when we played it. There was like tension in the room. You felt that, and so obviously the characters do as well. That's why it's there. I think that they were trying to buy time, and so they're like, hey, we got to camp, we resources. They're trying to just extend this bad situation they're now in a little longer so they can figure out what to do next, right? That's my interpretation from it. Joel felt off by the whole thing in the first place. The reason why they were there and got caught up in that situation to begin with was because they were getting chased by a horde, which is the first time we had seen that in this world. Like, and I think that they took away more of the horde stuff from a gameplay perspective because they didn't want to get caught up in the trap of them people saying they copied Days Gone. But that's neither here or there. So they were in the situation because they were being chased. They had nowhere else to go, and there was a storm, right? And then they were trying to. Then his brother Tommy was trying to buy time with the statement that he made, and then he gets mollywopped, and then Joel gets his shit blown the fuck off. So I don't. And then at that point, Joel knew you're fucked. I'm fucked, and so he kind of just went with it and was like good with where he was mentally because then they show you that over the next course of the several hours of the game. So I don't understand that take on it.
Well, I'll just say this. I will definitely say you are definitely interpreting stuff very oddly because I didn't get, and I don't think anyone else got this idea that Tommy was saying we got to camp out somehow far back because he detected tension. Just clearly looking how they're talking and speaking to each other,
No,
he just seems to be
their tone.
relaxed.
No, not at all. There was inflection of voice, the way the people's facial expressions looking at him, his facial expression, everything about it was tension.
I didn't get any of that
I,
from how
I,
they looked at them
you
funny
watched
once
it.
they heard Joel's name, but that not until that happened.
No, that's not.
The only person that I can even say that was suspicious was Owen because he was questioning Abby like who the fuck are they, but everybody else just kind of seemed like they didn't seem like they were just
You
friends
watched
with them, but they did.
you watched the leak, didn't you?
I also
Every
played the entire game. Like
Right.
I
No, no,
did.
no, no. I know, but that changes things because everybody that I know says it the way you just said it. Watched the leaks. Everybody that I know didn't see the leaks, like myself, felt like me. So I think when you watch it play out, or if you watch somebody else stream it, and you don't have the sticks in your hand, I think it's totally different things. Because
But I had the sticks in my hand.
right, but that's after the fact. You already saw that. You already watched the leaks.
Nah, David, stop.
That's I'm
Well,
not
that's
damage
fair.
controlling it.
That's fair.
I'm just
That's
this
that's how you
my
feel. But
observation. No. It's my observation because everybody that I've talked to about this game, which is a shit ton, everybody that's just because there's a lot of people that say just like you, feel like you. Julie says the same thing, and I believe he watched the leaks. So everybody I know that I've talked to online or whatever, even in real life, they all felt the same way as you if they watched the leaks. If they didn't, they all felt like me. So that's my only observation. I'm not saying who's right or wrong. I don't even know if we can gather that without um, them telling us, right? But that was how I interpreted it.
yeah, I don't. I just they just was acting regular. Once and it's also weird because once you play through Abby's campaign, you realize they know who Joel's name is, but they don't know what Joel looks like. They know of Tommy because of old Firefly records,
Right.
and they went to
Well,
go look for Tommy in hopes that he would tell them where Joel is.
right.
So it's weird in itself that Abby, of course, she
She knew.
put two and two together, but it's just weird that all of them who came looking for Tommy, when they heard, "Oh, I'm Tommy," they didn't have any reaction at all.
You didn't see when they were tying the horses up. Whenever Abby walked with the core group of guys away, they walked towards the
No,
camera. So
yeah,
the
her and
way
Owen.
right, the way I interpreted that was she was letting them know who now they have in their midst.
No, but none
That
of them paid her attention when she was walking away either. If you look at the scene, they're all like helping Joel and Tommy, and they're trying to get the door shut, and some with the horses. They weren't paying them no attention to. I mean, I'm being serious. Like they literally were. Owen and Abby was walking ahead of them, and no one was paying them any mind. So I can't say that happened. But yeah, it was weird that they had no reaction to Tommy's name, but they had reaction to Joel's name, even though they're looking for Tommy.
for the
You know,
for the
it's
for the record, I
go ahead.
felt like I wanted as a player to be able to let Joel go out in a fucking epic battle that we controlled. Now, the reason why that doesn't necessarily work is because they want you to feel helpless, like Ellie. because Ellie's watching something happen that she can't control. And so that's why I felt like they did it that way. I think several people, even Julie, agreed with that on that regard. Ellie, shut up. 9. No. Uh, my dog's name's Ellie, so that should tell people
Yeah,
that I'm really, really into this shit. Ellie, quit it. God dang. So anyway, I know they did that for a reason, because you're just watching something go down that you don't want to go down, and you're helpless, right? So, but with that said, I wish that you could have just gone out epic as shit, which I guess would have played more into what you're wishing for. But either way, the point is still okay. So here's the thing: you don't like the way that went down because you're saying it's a hiccup in the story from the first one.
I'm saying even if you pay attention to the flashbacks, which wasn't nothing but a few year or so before, Joel is ruthless. Joel is still in his survival instincts mode, that he's even still telling Ellie, yo, we're alone, but you need to maintain practice in putting your mask on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just like I don't believe, listen, I can understand Joel being a little bit toned down.
Joel was never with what was happening though. Like he was uncomfortable the whole time. You can see it when he was putting the horses away.
But this is the big thing that I don't understand from him or Tommy. They literally leave their guns by the horse. I do not understand this at all. Like it would be.
I don't remember that.
They definitely left their guns. They
Fair
have no
enough.
guns
I don't remember
That's
that.
crazy. I don't understand that at all. They just completely were just like, and it was crazy is, now I can argue that maybe Joel and Tommy didn't see that Owen was carrying a shotgun, but it's like everybody else has guns on them, and they just leave their guns by the horse. That to me sounds like, a lot of writers do this. They just make characters stupid. Well, they just make characters stupid, for convenience, for plot convenience, and but that scene in itself was whatever. I just felt like they made Joel stupid, and Tommy as well.
Okay, so let's go with that. Let's say they have a lapse of reasoning or whatever. Like, okay, cool, fair enough. But the idea behind the whole scope of the game, the whole premise behind the game, and even if you don't like, how do you care about how he died? Do you care about, like, does it bother you that Abby killed him the way she killed him? That bothers a lot of people.
The only thing about no, I don't care about the golf club beating or nothing like that. The only thing I will say is Abby is the what's his name?
Who?
Guy's damn name already. The dude from Uncharted 4, Drake's brother.
What's his name?
I don't remember, but she's that of this game, but not as bad, because at least in Uncharted, there was confirmed information that Drake didn't have any siblings in Uncharted 3, and they just basically morphed a sibling out of nowhere. That didn't make any sense.
Yeah, that was weird.
But see, the thing in this game that's kind of crazy, an NPC that you have to kill.
Sam. His name is Sam. Wasn't it Sam?
There you
Sam.
Yeah, Sam. An NPC that you have to kill, you have no choice, has a child that hunts you down and tries to kill. Like, and again, the reason why it's even funnier is because people have already exposed that in the first Last of Us, that doctor. It depends. If you reload the scene, that doctor can be anybody. Now, what do I mean by anybody? It's always going to be a male, but it can be a black male, an Asian male, and it's basically like just one of the grunt NPCs with surgical mask on. So we all know that character wasn't fleshed out, just some random NPC.
Well, that's also obviously this game was not. They didn't plan out part 1 and part 2 altogether.
I understand that,
and it's hardware limitations. There's a lot of reasons why that could happen. Give me a break.
But when you do that, and the first game is canon, and this random doctor is, and then they change his lines. In Last of Us Part 2, when Joel is doing the little explaining to Tommy, the doctor pulls the blade and he says, "I'm not going to let you take her. Think of all the lives we can save." Just, that makes that scene seem worse, because there's a doctor trying to tell Joel, think before you do, because we could save the world. He doesn't say that in the first game. He just says, "I'm not going to let you take her," and pulls the blade out. That makes, I know those extra words may not seem like much, but yes, it's a lot. It makes it seem worse. It makes him seem more, and then they make him like look mad when the dude says it, so it makes him look evil. which was the whole point, is to make Joel look like the bad guy, despite the fact Joel
Most people
isn't
think
a bad guy.
Joel is a bad guy. He said it himself.
Joel had to do things to survive, just like everybody else in the world. And we never even got a deep understanding of the things we just got vague. Tommy said it wasn't worth it, but we never got Joel said sometimes he jumped people as a hunter, but we never got like some type of full depiction of what Joel did. We don't know what he did, and
No,
we don't
but
know if Joel ever did anything that he didn't have to do either.
It's pretty. I mean, but plus most people. It depends on your interpretation, right? But a lot of people hated Joel just because he made the decision they did with Ellie. I mean, right.
But see, but let's break that down.
Hold on, real quick. There's a chair in the background that's all fucked up. That's Ellie's chair when I game. So that's why it's all fucked up. I'm just not, a weirdo with a weird chair like that. I'm not an Xbox person. Anyway.
So, Last of Us 1, the reason why that ending worked so well.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. So, Sin Sinister said, "Dude, even Tess says we're fucked up people, Joel." I mean,
that's what. But my point is, that's what they say. We don't see this. Is my point. We don't see this.
You don't have to.
We don't see this. We don't. But this is why it's important, though.
Oh,
from our perspective, the player, what do we see of Joel? We don't see these things. We don't experience these things. So
what does that matter?
That matters a whole lot, because if you don't see or experience Joel doing these bad things, but then try to tell us he's a bad guy, the Joel we know ain't bad. It's no different than a person in real life. If a person in real life, once upon a time before you met them, did bad things, but everything you know of them is good, I mean, in your perspective, they're not bad.
Dooley just helped me out here. He also said, and see, a lot of the stuff I forget. Tommy leaves him because of the decisions that were made, because of what he was doing to people.
Again, these are things we don't see and never get elaborated on. We don't know exactly what they did.
So
we don't know anything.
So how does that pertain to the second one and what happens there? Like, how does
because what I'm saying is the ending of the first game,
mm-hmm.
that ending, if you think about the story in its totality and stop, I'm just being honest, I really feel like Neil Druckmann and his team through interviews are just purposely trying to make everybody feel like, if you felt Joel was a bad guy before, that's fine, because I would just argue that's how you truly feel. But it's too many people saying, oh, he's a bad guy. And I just feel like they're regurgitating what Neil is saying, because that's what he wants. That's how he wants him to be set up.
Well, he wrote him that way. He even talked about it before.
But what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is that if you play the first game, and Neil clearly doesn't keep track of what he did in the first game and the second game. I don't think Neil fully. You know, I remember he may be the head or the face. He's not the only writer. He can't remember crap because he too many plot holes. The first game's ending, big ambiguous ending, and it was a conflict. That's why it worked. On one hand, possible cure for cure for this fungal infection, even though we could argue that there are no such thing as vaccines for fungal infections. But whatever, it's a video game. Possible cure. But on the other hand, the Fireflies have been consistently fucking up throughout the whole game. Consistently getting their own facilities fucked up. They let this one dude, his own test monkey bit him. These guys are morons. Not only are they morons, they planned on killing Joel. Now, we know Marlene fought to not do that, but they were going to kill Joel. They didn't give him his guns. They didn't let him speak to Ellie. They never got permission from Ellie that she was cool with this. These people are not good people either. These are fucked up people.
That's why I was always on Joel's team in that whole regard.
They're fucked up. The reason why I would argue a lot of people were cool with what Joel did is because if you know all this stuff, we're in a big gray blob here. We got, on one hand, a bunch of morons that are too busy trying to prove themselves, willing to rush into surgery. It ain't even been a day. They haven't done barely any tests. Just immediately, let's cut her brain open. It sounds stupid. So Joel, of course, and you, the player, if you gotten attached, it's like...
Well, they did several prior to that. You see that in X-rays and stuff.
They did tests within a few, which it doesn't even make sense. It hasn't been a day. They did tests within like a few hours. That's not enough time to determine if cracking someone's skull open is going to give you anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just
No, yeah,
unless in the
you're right, I
world of The
agree.
Last of Us, medicine is on an advanced level that I'm just not aware of. Yeah, that doesn't make any lick of sense. And even Joel was like, run more tests. Can I talk to her? No, you can't
Right.
do any of that. Why? I don't know why they didn't let him do that. Which well, we know why, because it wouldn't have the particular story that we had. But the point is, all that taken in consideration to paint Joel as the bad guy, and like I know we're gonna be jumping all over the place with the story discussion. This leads back to Ellie. Ellie upset, saying I was supposed to die in that hospital. I'm confused about this. When did Joel know that Ellie wanted to sacrifice herself to be a cure? The only time you can even argue that was ever understood was
Well,
after Joel saved her.
no, the way I took that was she. That's just something that she. You saw that in the car when they were driving away in the first one. Like, to me, that was like once she once she lived on, right? Obviously, they had 5 years of her thinking about it and being around all these people and seeing the demise of the world around her, and she's like, I wish I could have been the person that saved this. You know, I wish my life had purpose, because now she's seeing people die aimlessly for no reason, but at least she could have had purpose. You know what I mean? And all that loss and trauma that she had been through since she was 14, or since she was born, rather, was could have meant something. That's just a normal human trait.
I think that whole setup, like Ellie being mad at Joel, like I can get Ellie being mad at Joel for lying, not telling her the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's also stupid that Joel, at least from our understanding, never fully told her the situation, which is dumb. Like he didn't explain it in great detail, which would have probably made this, that would have required the team of writers to come up with a better story, because it's very just surface level stupid stuff if you played the first game.
You're
Why
getting
doesn't
do you,
Joel
do
ever
you get
mention?
do you get this intricate with other games?
I get this intricate with any game that the purpose of the game, or the main purpose, is trying to tell me a story. That's why, like The Last of Us, I even said it. Last of Us Part Two's gameplay is solid, and if someone wants to play it just for the gameplay, I wouldn't even say that's wrong with that. Because I mean, it's not the best stealth game, it's not the best third-person shooter game, but it's solid enough where I can understand someone playing this for the gameplay alone. Problem is, though, half the game is the plot. So I have to go through this plot. I don't know if you can skip the plot on your first playthrough. I know you can on New Game Plus. But yeah, if half my video game is garbage,
I don't.
that
I
would
don't.
be an issue for anybody, I
I
would
don't think.
imagine. If half the damn game is like annoying, or not annoying, it's just bad. It's
But
like,
you can.
you
My
know,
point is that you can do this with every single game, though. Like you can do this with every movie. Like there's all kinds of plot holes and everything. I don't know if it's
nah, it's some stories that don't got no plot holes.
that you get this intricate to where you're diving into reading minds, because that's what you're doing.
No, I wasn't reading. No, 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 no. I didn't read any minds. What I'm saying about Ellie is this: Ellie tells Joel she was supposed to die in that hospital, as if Joel was aware this is something she wanted and went against her wishes. But she never said this. She never even knew she was going to die for the cure. She never even expressed if she had to die for a cure, she would. So how in the hell? See, let me explain to you why they did that. That's to make Joel look bad. Again, it's to make his decision in the last game just purely be selfish based, which most of it was. Of course, he wants to save his daughter this time. We know that. But to also add on this little sprinkle of Ellie wanted to do this and Joel knew it because that's how they're trying to spin it. No, he didn't. How would he have known this? We
Uh,
never, like I said, there's only
well,
one part in the game where Ellie
Marlene
mentions
says no. Marlene says she wants to do this.
no.
She does
If
say
she
that.
if she did,
She
no, I
says
think
that.
she said something like this is what she would want.
No, that was referring to Ellie's mom, because now she's the mom figure.
What?
She's Yeah. They were talking about how she was taking custody over from her mom.
No, David, they never talked to her about did she want to kill herself for this cure. That never happened.
It was. I'm trying
So
now. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to wrap my brain around
that
that. There
I
was a
know it never
scene
happened
where
because
there
Joel
was
was
a
like, go
there
ahead.
was a scene, that something around those lines came up. I don't remember if she was referring to. I thought she was referring to Ellie and her mom, but maybe not. I don't remember now. I'm going to catch myself lying, so I'm going to just know that that conversation took place in that moment before Joel went and wrecked everybody. But like, I can't remember the exact words that were used. Maybe somebody.
I know for sure that never she made a vague comment in one. Yeah, she made a comment when Joel was like, find someone else. Let me talk to her at least. She said all Marlene said is that this is what she would have wanted, right? Now Marlene is not saying this because she got confirmation because they admit when they got Ellie after her drowning, they immediately put her in the test. Then not she wasn't even conscious. She never had this conversation with her. Now, unless again, if they had some type of conversation before we even met Ellie, well, we don't know this either. Like that would be me speculating stuff. So all I
Well,
know is
we did know that. Well, do we know what Ellie was already being smuggled out prior to that, right?
yeah,
So,
but we never know if Ellie knows what they might have to do for the cure. That's my point. So if we don't know, Joel
but
doesn't know. So how does Joel supposed to know
no,
that
she
Ellie
Ellie
wants
Ellie
this?
knows that she could potentially be the cure. That's why you're smuggling her out in the first place. I don't know if she knew that she was going to die for it.
Okay, now that are we on the same page here, right?
Right,
My point is, the last was part two, though. Ellie expresses to Joel she was supposed to die for the cure,
right. But that's
or
her. That right. I already explained that. That's because she's reminiscing about she could have been the cure, not knowing what you're calling a loophole of them probably not being able to get a cure, which is what I agree with you. I don't call that a loophole. I'm just that's one way of looking at it.
no. What I'm mainly saying is this emotion Ellie has is doesn't make sense to me. Like she's mad that Joel saved her, as if he went against something she would want.
Right,
But Joel doesn't know that you want that. That's my point.
in the first
Joel
one, but the
is
second one she does.
But
She
he already saved her by the time the second one begins.
right, so she's
So
mad.
how
That's
does
why
that
she's mad at
matter?
him because she was willing to die for it. She
But
might.
he
Well, you
doesn't know this. She's talking to. But this is my point. He doesn't know this, but she's talking as if he did know. I would understand way better if Ellie was mad because Joel lied and was lying for years, and that was why. But to act like I was supposed to die for the cure and you took that choice away from me is like you not. I think she literally says you took that choice away from me. It's like the
well,
Fireflies gave you no choice. Like no one gave
Dooley
you a choice.
Dooley's helping out too. So I'm forgetting things. Like this was also discussed on the DLC Left Behind with Riley
What was discussed on the DLC with the Left Behind with Riley?
because she wanted to die with her that day.
No, 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 no. See, I explained that already. In the first Last of Us, after Joel saves Ellie,
I'm not talking about that. That was
this
before.
no, 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 no. But this is important because in the Left Behind DLC, there is no expression that Ellie wants to die to Joel. He's unconscious.
No, I get
So,
that. I don't
so
know. I don't think she knew that she was. I don't know. Right now, what we're doing, just so you know, is we're
okay.
doing a lot of speculating on brainwashing or
Oh
reading
no, no, no.
minds.
I'm not. I'm literally telling you what was said in the game,
Right,
right?
but some of that's kind of the point, though, right? I mean, this conversation that we're having right now, you don't think that's written for a reason? For it's all up to be interpreted. That's why, like
Which part?
this whole thing, like even the ending of the game, a lot of people were mad about it and talked about it for 7 years because they would have done things differently. They had people were mind reading,
No, I
and so
get the ending for the first game, but my point is when you go to the second game, and in the second game, Ellie's talking to Joel like Joel knew that he was doing something she wouldn't have liked. That's you can't say that because that was never expressed to Joel ever.
right. But
The
my
only
point,
time I can ever say that Joel was aware that Ellie kind of was waiting for her time to
I get what you're
die
saying. I get what you're saying.
was at the end after he already did it. So it's
Right.
like,
I get what you're saying. You're saying she shouldn't be as mad at Joel because he
oh
didn't
no,
know
no,
that.
she could be mad, but not. But the reason she's mad
Right. I
is
know. I
odd.
know. Right.
You know,
Okay. That's silly in the whole scheme of things. In the whole scope of the story, that's a really, 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 really small nitpick. If it's even,
no, it's a big
if
because you got to understand. It's big because if this is why she's mad at Joel, and this is why the relationship is so bad, and this is why she's so ready to go on a revenge trip because it's revealed at the end of the game that she, but the day before he died, was working on forgiving him. So she had been treating Joel like a piece of shit and being mean to him for, let's just say, roughly around maybe like 3 years or so, right? That's a good distance of time to be mad about somebody. But from the player's perspective that remembers the first game, you're mad about them about some shit that they're not aware, and then they don't even. It's never expressed to us that Joel ever sits the others down and explains all the things in great detail. He just gives this very vague, short answer of they were trying to kill you, so I stopped them. He doesn't explain that, they didn't give you a choice, right? They were going to kill me, right? They didn't let me talk to you. They didn't let us discuss it. They didn't. These are the most obvious things that anybody would mention. He doesn't
Well,
say any of these things. It's very weird.
we have to keep moving on because I'm not trying to do
Yeah,
this
yeah.
for 3 hours because we can go
Okay,
back and forth on this
okay,
forever.
okay. Well, we can leave that part done. Okay,
I'm
so
assuming that's how we're going to be for the rest of the time, but keep going.
okay, so where else are we next in the story? Let's just break down some story chunks. Personally, I just didn't feel like the relationship between Dina and Ellie was fleshed out enough for me to care about that. I don't know your opinion on it. That's really all I have to say. It just
I
to
wasn't.
be fair, they just started dating like the day the game begins. So I mean, maybe that makes sense. But yeah,
Yeah, I wasn't overly fond of her either. Um, but I chalk that up to be I'm not overly fond of my daughter dating anybody in real life. So I I wouldn't. I felt like Dina was going to be a backstabber at some point. That's just how I felt. I just feel like I didn't trust her as a character. But that doesn't mean it's badly written. Me personally, didn't fuck with her like that.
I feel that their love connection was rushed. And I know that relationships can happen like that where things are rushed, but I feel like just like how Abby had flashbacks with Owen when they were younger, they could at least thrown in a flashback of and I know in like Ellie's diary when you read it when she's younger and knows Dina in the settlement, she mentions
Right.
Dina.
Right.
But it would have been nice if maybe we saw like them hanging out as friends, but you could tell Ellie likes her. So I don't know, something to give
I
it
don't.
some.
You gotta remember though, like you gotta put a certain kind of lens on when you're watching these relationships play out because you're in a world that you and I don't understand, right? So I'm assuming I guess you could look at it like growing up in a third world country where that's war torn. Like every day, if you meet somebody that comes from an area where of the world that they've seen a lot of death and misery, those people tend to be really happy and they live it up because they know that any day could be the end, right? So to a certain degree, you have that. So the relationships can progress a lot faster because of that. A, B, I can't imagine there's very many lesbians there, so she's kind of slim pickings, right? I mean, so that could be part of it too. So to me, you gotta kind of remember that as you're seeing a lot of this stuff play out because it's just a completely different worldview than what you and I may share, in real life. So try to remember that and use that as you keep going through the story and nitpicking it because I think that will be present throughout all of this.
Nah,
So
I'm not rolling with that one. I just feel like I felt more of a romantic connection between Joel and Tess in the brief moment that existed.
I didn't feel like there was too much
Owen,
romance in there.
Owen, and Abby. Like I don't, maybe Neil or his writers just didn't write them because they clearly wrote Owen. You could even tell how Owen and Abby were looking at each other. They liked each other. Like
You didn't feel like that with Dina. I felt like they did a fantastic job with showing.
Abby and Dina, unless what their goal was, Abby and Dina, Ellie and Dina, unless their goal was to show you what it seemed like they were. Maybe this was intentional. If so, then they did a good job of this. It felt like when you see two people trying to make a relationship,
Like forced.
but they ain't feeling it like that. That's what it really felt like. But
That's
I don't
what
think that's what they were
that's
going for either.
No, I feel like that's 100% they're going for because Ellie doesn't trust people because they always die in her life.
I don't know.
She
Like, I
talks
mean,
about
maybe
it over and over again.
if
So,
that's what they were going for, then they definitely nailed it because it just felt awkward. It felt like
did you believe she was into Riley because she didn't have those walls up yet, And then this game,
I'll
she
be
lost.
honest with you, bro. When I played Left Behind, I didn't even assume that Ellie was gay. I just thought that she kissed the girl
That's where I was
because
at too. I felt like that's the better storyline.
because kids
Yeah,
kids, especially females, I've seen them do that and they're not gay. So I didn't even take that as anything. But apparently,
that's my interpretation as well. But I could feel the way when I first played it, my initial thought was because the game to me was based on animal instincts and more like primal throughout the whole game, and so like as an example, Joel lost his humanity and then found his humanity again in Ellie, and would even sacrifice humanity to maintain that little part of humanity that he found in Ellie. So, with that said, when I first played it with Riley, I felt like there was a deep love for her as a friend, right? As a relationship with that she had with Riley. It doesn't have to be sexual. But then that kiss happened, and I chalked that up as she didn't know how to convey her emotions because we're in a post-apocalyptic world, and she just did what she thought felt right. That's what I
yeah,
thought, and I think that's a better. I think it fits the narrative better. I think making her gay takes away from that, in my opinion, to a certain degree. Not takes away; it's just it's a different lens, I guess. But I felt like that relationship was played out really well in a short amount of time. I felt like Dina's was definitely on purpose because she had already lost all these people, and she has walls up, and she doesn't want to get too connected, too close.
I
That's
just I just I just
Abby
felt their
didn't.
relationship was. Go ahead.
Abby didn't have that, obviously. So with that's why you felt like there's a better connection with her and that dude because she didn't have those same walls up that Ellie does.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like Abby and Dina's relationship was. I feel like all the relationships in this game, the only one that was somewhat decent was Owen and Abby. And when I mean all the relationship, I don't mean the romantic. I mean like Jesse and Ellie being friends. Jesse's one of my favorite characters in the game because he's just like one of the least douchebag characters that exists. Like, but that was a weird relationship too because Jesse too understanding and forgiving. It's very odd. I'm sorry. Like if Ellie and Jesse are truly friends like that, the night before you just told me you believe my girlfriend is gonna get back with me after I asked you where
Do
they're gonna
you,
get
do
back, where we're gonna get back together, and then you kiss her, and that that's weird. That he just seemed to be like, nah, I don't even care about that. Even though the night before he was saying, I'm talking as if he
you've
wants to
never
get
met
back with her.
you've never met somebody like that in your life?
That means they're being fake, right? They're hiding their emotions, but it doesn't appear that that's what he's doing. It appears he's just cool with it, like literally, not like he's
I'm just
pretending.
there's several ways you could look at this, right? And again, we're mind reading and we're speculating, but
Well,
it
it's how they
seems
wrote it.
no. I mean, you could say you could go into their personalities. You could say and again, look at it through the lens of a world that's dying around them. Like I just don't know if you can chalk that up to be normal, abnormal, bad writing, good writing. I mean, it's just that's kind of the world that they're in, and so that's how I view it. I view it through that lens. I don't see how the way he was reacting to any one thing in particular, it all blended perfectly. I don't see the issue or hiccup there.
Nah, I mean he wasn't a bad character. He just was weird. Like he didn't seem to care that Ellie and Dina. He was super understanding that Ellie and Dina didn't tell him that he's a father, even though they knew. Like it was just that's just.
I didn't take it that way at all.
I just kept seeing Ellie be a shitty friend to Jesse the whole game, and he never just like finally was like, you know what, Ellie, like you're an asshole. Like even the time when she was like, yeah, we're going to look for Tommy, but she still is obsessing with Abby. He was even kind of cool about that. Like, well, I hope you're like. I mean, he wasn't happy. He was clearly like disappointed in her, but
Right.
it just seemed like they were trying to make him be like a likable character to the point that made him not human. Like it was weird. I don't know
That's
why they
not
did that.
that's not my perception on it. I'm not going to argue with you, but okay.
Yeah. The next relationship, all of Abby's friends were just kind of like those things seem pointless because you barely hang out with any of them. Of course, you hang out with Owen the most, but like I think they were trying to make us feel bad about killing her friends, like trying to make them seem like regular people and likable. But you hang out with them for like 5 seconds. You hang out with Manny for a decent amount, but all I learned from Manny is he's Spanish and he is good with women. I mean, that's all I got from him, and he curses a lot. But Nora, Didn't really get nothing out of her. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. You remember when Ellie's looking for Leah? I swear I was like, who is that? Because she's in the room, but doesn't say anything and barely plays a role. That I'm like, who is this person? Like, I don't even know who this. Like, it's a lot of things with this game story and the characters. Like when they were like, oh, they killed Danny, and Abby seemed sad. And I'm like, who the fuck is
Well,
Danny? And I'm like, oh, Danny's the guy with the hat. Oh, okay.
in order for them to do what seems like what you're requesting is make this game far longer.
Either make it. What they could have did was do this.
Because like
They could have just wrote it better.
no,
Just
hold on.
wrote it
So
better.
it's harder to do it whenever you like. Okay, you the way Rockstar did it, right? With Red Dead 2 is you had the camp and you went around and talked to people and there's lots of little campaigns with each of them and all. Like there's a lot. That game is long as fuck because
Mm-hmm.
you build all those relationships and so you can have different you can have different emotions better if you want to call it better fair because you put more time and devoted more time into these characters, right? Or like an RPG, you play a lot of RPGs. I imagine those are the same way. So this game is a linear non-RPG. So they're trying to. It's like a movie in that regard. They're trying to force feed you characters, a character-driven story in a way that they can't just think about how much padding would have to be done in order to get all that out of it that
Well,
you're requesting.
well, Captain Crunch was saying they could have just made less characters. That would have been one. They could have again. They could have just because again, Tess, you hang out with her for a decent amount of time, but it's not a
Not
whole lot.
not
I
a whole
had a
lot.
connection with Tess. Not like an over amount of connection where she's about to die. I'm like sad about it, but it was like, oh shit, Tess is going to be gone. Like that's kind of sucks. At least I felt that at the
I
least.
I felt
Can't
like that
write any
on
other characters.
all of these people. Because like,
I didn't care at
so
all.
let's get to the meat and potatoes of it, right? You play Seattle 1, 2, and 3, and you do all this shit as Ellie, right? And then you
Hmm.
get the reverse side of it. So what they're trying to do, and this is my interpretation of it, I don't know how you can interpret it any other way, is they try to make every character in the game not feel like just a mindless NPC. They were trying to show you cause and effect. So like whenever you go through as Ellie and do all the things, and then they go and you play as Abby and it goes back in time. What it's doing is showing you all the havoc you wreaked and how it affects so many other lives with the decisions you make. Decisions being wrecking everybody, right? So that to me was awesome in how they did that. Like I don't understand why people are getting or don't either don't realize that or don't like that idea or premise of the game. The fact that you're seeing the repercussions of your actions. That's all
No,
that is.
I get. Well, really, what they're doing is, I'm gonna just tell you this too. As much as I like Abby, Abby's just Ellie. That's that, and this to
That's
me, that's just again, this is poor writing.
that's kind of the
Abby's
point.
just
That's
Ellie.
not poor. That's not poor writing though, dude. That's actually great writing.
I'll tell you a story that I'm sure you probably don't know the story. There's a story, and it's for a kids game that does this way better. Don't laugh. Sonic.
With Tails
Now,
or whatever, or
no,
whatever.
no, not Tails, but there's a Sonic game called Sonic Adventure 2. There's a character named Shadow. He looks like Sonic, but he's not Sonic. Shadow and Sonic, the only similarities are they're hedgehogs and they run fast. Totally two different types of characters, as in what they go through and their personality and all that stuff. Everything is just a parallel. Ellie loses a father, Abby loses a father. Ellie wants revenge, Abby wants revenge. Ellie destroys her relationship in the process of getting the revenge, Abby does so too. It's all it is they already made Ellie. So then they said, well, let's just make another character that's basically Ellie, give her little to no
It's
character
it, it's a
difference
it's a nemesis,
outside
dude.
of she's
It's an arch enemy. The perfect bad guy is somebody that is yourself because one would argue that you are your own worst enemy, right? So that's all they're portraying, and also having a sense of Ellie and or I'm sorry, Joel and Abby as well, and seeing that she takes home uh, uh, thing, what do you, what is the home transgender under her wing right? Like that's all reminiscent of Ellie or Joel in the first game. So like the point is, okay, here's another example to go back on what I was talking about. And for people in the chat, my phone died, so I can no longer see you chat. Sorry. Um, my phone dies 100% of the time. I don't know where my charger is, and then if I have to go get it, there'll be silence for a while, and you'll just have to hear Graham talk about Sonic, and nobody wants that. So, okay, here's an example of what I'm talking about. The dog. That dog was dope as fuck, and then whenever you're playing as Ellie, you wreck that. Oh, thank you, baby. You wreck that thing without even hesitation. But then when you go back and see the whole thing play out, you're like, damn, that dog was awesome, and I fucked that thing up, and I didn't even care about it. Because you at that point you'd already killed so many dogs, it was like nothing. But then you killed that one dog, and you realize that he was you became attached to him, right? So that plays out through, and that's how it is for all the characters for me. It's like you're seeing how you're wrecking havoc on these people and the destruction it causes, and the ripple effect, if you will. So
I don't even remember that damn dog's name. I don't like that. Like, and I could just see the what they were playing with the emotions. But see, when someone's trying to play with your emotions and it's not working, it just kind of irritates. I don't know,
well,
like I get
right,
it.
that's the
They let
opinion.
you play
That's the
with the
opinion part of it.
dog. Yeah, I know, but they let you play with the no. They definitely were trying to play with your emotions because the idea is they kill Joel. What they're hoping for is you get mad and you want to get revenge, right? Then when you play as Abby, they expect more than likely you're going to be pissed. Like, I don't want to play as Abby. But
Right.
then they're hoping you give in and say, all right, I want to see this through and play as Abby. What they're also hoping for is when you're playing as Abby that you start to warm up to her friends, her situation, her as a character, and you start saying, oh, Abby's pretty cool. Only for you to go back to the scene where she's about to fight Ellie, and then what they're hoping for is you have this internal conflict saying, I like both these characters. I understand both their pain and problems. I don't really want to do any of this. That would if that would have worked, and if it worked on anybody, good for you.
I
If
mean,
that would
there's
have
been
worked,
plenty of people that worked on just like that. I mean,
that would be super interesting idea. I get the idea they had. Poor execution on my in my view because again,
well,
I barely.
I can't debate that. I can't fix that for you. I don't know how, but that
You
what you're talking about, what they tried to pull off, has worked time and time again for many people. And on top of that, several other people have different ways of looking at it. Like you might hate Abby the whole way through, and then you get to or you get to Ellie, and y'all have to fight, and you don't want to fight her, and you even let Abby die a few times, like I did. But you still have to play the story that they want to tell, and that in itself is brilliant because you're hating the fact that you have to watch some of this stuff go down or even do it, and you're just like, God damn it. And that's the point of the story, is to inflict emotion, bring it out of you. And even if you're mad at what's happening and you don't like what's happening, it's still getting emotion out of you, and therefore they're doing their job. They're getting the emotion out of you. It doesn't matter
Oh
what
well,
the
you gotta
emotion
understand
is.
with me. You know what emotion I got?
Who knows, Grim? Tell us.
You want me to tell you?
What is it?
I just didn't care. I didn't get mad. I didn't even care. I didn't care about anything that was happening because I was. It wasn't that like I checked out. When I'm witnessing a story that's just stupid.
So you're saying because you don't care, and we know that clearly there's lots of people that disagree with you, but so I don't know why that all of a sudden goes to that's poor writing, because it doesn't
Well, I can
necessarily hit
explain to
you
you
like
why
that.
it's poor. I can
Well,
explain to you why it's poor writing.
that's what you've been doing, but I would disagree with the reason why you're saying it's bad writing. Like, do you not like the way Reservoir Dogs is done? Do you not like The Hateful Eight? I mean, there's so many movies that you could draw from, like Schindler's List. I mean, there's so many movies you could draw from that have
Well,
similar
that's the issue
attributes.
right there. That's the issue right there. This isn't a movie. It's a
Well, the
game.
story, but stories. But we're talking about story right now. So
Okay. Well, let me break it down like this. I'm Ellie. Through gameplay, because it's not enough cutscenes to feel a connection. Like, let's say, imagine you never played the first Last of Us. There's not enough cutscenes to feel a deep connection between as Ellie. You just watching. You have to play it to get a deeper connection. That's why it's a game. I'm Ellie. Let's just focus on killing that German Shepherd. I don't even remember the dog's name. You kill the dog.
do you
You
not
kill
fuck with dogs
plenty
like
of
that in real
dogs.
life?
No, I love dogs.
Okay.
I love dogs. You kill the dog, right? Then you kill Mel and Owen, right?
Hmm.
Then you go to Abby. You play with that same dog. It's on your team. It helps you fight people. Just like I don't care that the people died, I don't care that the dog died.
But can you recognize that lots of people disagree with that?
Somebody might care. I
Not
mean, that's
somebody,
great.
lots of people.
I don't know who lots of people are,
Thousands of
but
people.
somebody might care. Somebody, whoever that may be, and whatever number you want to attach to it, I'll just rock with it. Thousands, whoever. But I would argue just as many, if not more, did not care, or maybe possibly didn't like it. I just didn't care. I didn't care that the dog died. I have no attachment to that dog. Just because you let me throw the fucking octopus thing around with it, I don't care about that. Like when I play, what's an animal in the game I cared about? Well, this is unfair, but you play Fallout. Yeah, I cared about dog meat because you could play with your companion. You can have him like the whole game.
I don't
Like,
like
of course, I care
that
about
game, but
him,
all right,
or you know what I'm saying.
let me. Part of the reason why I feel like some people feel the way you do is because they made Abby too damn big, and I will stick with that for the rest of my life.
No, it's
I promise you.
we could definitely talk about. Let's talk about this real quick.
Well, hold on.
Let's
Let me
just be
finish what I'm
honest.
saying.
Okay, okay,
Let me finish why.
okay.
Because she is so damn big compared to everybody else in the game, outside of like a handful of big old fat people that you fought, and when they're the melee people, right? Outside
Mm.
of that, she was by far the most yoked person in that entire game, and it didn't feel like just knowing how much when you're a developer that puts in so much fucking effort into attention to detail, when you do that and then you leave out the fact that hold on a second. Um, when you focus on the detail like they do, uh, and you don't have other characters that are men bigger than her, which is how it'd be in real life, right? Oh, she's more dedicated because she lost her father and all that. Okay, whatever. She's on steroids. Okay, whatever. So you're telling me no dudes are doing steroids when they start seeing this chick getting bigger than them? Fuck right off. I feel like there is a disconnect there for a lot of people. I don't care that there's a big giant girl in the game. That's not or in a game rather, but it's in this particular game. It just feels out of place. It's too shocking to the brain because of what we have around us. Not to mention they're in a post-apocalyptic world and all that. But when she's so big and so overpowered compared to everybody else, I, it just made me not give a flying fuck in that regard.
I love that she was just wrecking people, like because
I do
because
too. I
like
enjoy doing it, but I don't like it as that character. I feel like if she looked more like Nadine, I think more people would have reacted and responded to her differently than they did.
well, you do know that the early what was it? I think they showed like 2018 or not 20, whatever year they showed that first trailer with her getting like hung.
Hmm.
She was smaller. She
Right.
was not as big.
They made
So
her
they
well. She's
purposely made her bigger.
yeah, and I don't like in the first one she looked more like Nadine. I don't, or not in the first one, but when we first saw her, I don't know why they made her so goddamn huge. Like, it
Oh,
doesn't.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that near the end. We'll get to. I'll explain all of that for you.
Well,
Um,
you don't. I don't think you know either. I don't think anybody really does.
no, I look. I may not know, as in like I talked to somebody and they told me for sure, but I can make a strong guess here, based upon the things that Neil and everybody else has been saying over at Naughty Dog. I can make a strong
Oh yeah,
interpretation.
yeah. I look. I get that. But I feel like they fucked up in that they. I feel like the story hits different if they just went with like a Nadine type character with it where it's still believable, right? It's not. It doesn't have to be. She doesn't have to be Kratos. Like I don't understand that. I don't. I
The
don't
game
understand the
just does
mindset.
so many I understand it's a zombie apocalypse. Abby being that big. You know what? Honestly, if they would have just mentioned she's on steroids,
They do.
I didn't see it.
The supplements
They
she's
s-
picking up say they actually say enhancement and the way they talk about it. I mean, and she has steroid scars on her arms. Like it's
You're
very
talking
obvious.
about the same pills Ellie uses.
No, they're different. I think they have a different name to them.
I don't think they have a different. I think they
But
just all say supplements.
again, she has steroid
No,
scars.
no, 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 no. I know she does, but I don't. The game doesn't.
I
I
don't
honestly
think.
believe that the person they model after has those scars, and they just don't know what those scars are, and they just kept them on her
That
body. I
that
don't think they
that
even.
girl doesn't have those scars on her body. I don't think. I don't think.
I mean, normally when I see her, she's lathered up in oil, maybe, but you know. But I don't know. They didn't. I don't remember them ever like saying Ellie's using steroids. If they did, I think more people would be like, "Oh, that makes sense. She's on steroids." Not trying to make this. Look, we'll get into the agenda part later, but the thing with going back to the characters and stuff, overall, I just feel like stuff was too forced. We didn't get to experience the characters long enough, and before we wrap this thing up, I'll tell you the way I think they could have wrote this story without me changing much or nothing, and they could have set it up for a part three. And it would have been, it would. I've even mentioned this in the stream. And a lot of people were saying, "Wow, that sounds like it would have been a much better game." We're talking about people who love this story. But moving on from the character relationships, story wise, oh yeah, no, there's one people I forgot. Abby himself, like again, this game is too vague. With the game is a 9 out of 10, nothing less. Yo, what's up, Icy?
Hold on, let me address
The
something quick. Let me address something quick. That body is not unrealistic for women. That
which
body,
body?
this is what Gaming with Persona said. That body, okay, trust me. You have to trust me when I tell you this. I'm around a lot of incredibly fit people where I train at. Okay, you're not telling me nothing I don't know. What I'm telling you is that it doesn't fit in the story slash world they provided, because the idea that that girl was the biggest person on the planet doesn't make sense, and it just doesn't. If she looked more in
Oh,
it, you know what I'm saying? Like
go
it
ahead.
just it does not fit, and it makes most of the people that play it. I would assume. I guess I shouldn't say that, but a lot of people don't subconsciously when you're playing this giant Kratos looking chick, it just doesn't. It's hard to pull on your heartstrings or care when you're just kind of like, why did they do that the whole time? At least that's what I did because I pay attention to people's physiques and shit. I just do, and I get upset when they don't match people's body types in games to people that do similar shit in real life, like Laura Croft as an example. Like the way they make her doesn't really make sense when you go Google chicks like professional mountain climbers. Go look at them. Look at the way they look compared to how the Tomb Raider looks. It's just not right. So
Do they
anyway,
look that different than Laura Croft and the new Tomb Raider?
yeah,
'Cause Laura has pretty fit arms, but you don't really see the rest of her body, so I don't know
she's
what
not.
else.
They're really lean, dude. Like they're super lean and like their legs. It's you just gotta go look it up.
Laura's not weight. I mean, fat.
Yeah, and I can suspend disbelief, and I do, but I
I
just
think Laura Croft and I know people say her breast got reduction, but it's still. I think that's just. Honestly, if you look at Laura Croft's arms and legs, she's thin, but you could tell she has muscle to it because probably all the lifting herself up on rope and whatever else. She's not big. It's just maybe I think what it is that her chest may make her appear to be bigger, but that her chest wouldn't reduce just because she mountain climbs,
I'm
and
not
that's
I'm
not.
not I'm not talking about chest. I'm talking about the
No, but I'm just saying. I think that's why you were saying like she doesn't fit. Her body type doesn't fit. I'm like, for
go
any type
look.
of mountain climber I've ever seen, she looks.
I did a whole video. You can go look at my channel. I give plenty of examples of what I'm talking about if you care to go look. But yeah, trust me, it ain't the same. And again, the same thing applies to the Abby. I just don't. I don't know that part, and
Well,
that's more. I guess more personal with me, more personal opinion. But I feel like there's a lot of people out there. Had she looked like Nadine, they would have been. They would have felt a little
or
differently
Ellie.
about it.
Ellie's more ripped than normal. And
Right.
she that's
Yeah.
reasonable. But
Right. Agreed.
with Abby, I don't I understand. I don't care that Abby's that big. It's just if we're trying to say that Last of Us Part Two is super detailed, realistic, and we're making sure everything's on the up and up when it comes to the humans. Like you made a statement saying that a woman can be that big.
Yes.
A woman cannot be that big without taking drugs.
Correct.
And a man, honestly, maybe he could. Nah, I wouldn't even say a man could probably be that big unless he's taking drugs. Because your natural body will hit a limit. Even if you're the most fit, healthy eating person in the world, the reason why a lot of
Uh,
bodybuilders
I
say,
mean,
"Hey, I need to take steroids," I hit a limit. I need
right,
more.
but
I can't give you.
there's also the anomalies of the world. Like if you go look at
Oh, of
how.
course, everybody is different. But if we
But
want
what
to
I'm saying,
believe that,
like Ronnie Coleman, go look at how big that son of a bitch was before he started using steroids. I mean, he was enormous. So I mean, it just kind of depends. But
and
uh,
you also got to remember, Abby has the body of a bodybuilder, which requires her to eat. abnormally and exercise abnormally. I don't see like,
and have no cardio.
and she would have to have an extreme amount of free time to do this now, unless unless Isaac was just like, Abby, you get to train and do nothing else, and just we're gonna give you food, like, and that's
Yeah,
all you
exactly.
do. Like that's not
Yeah,
even her getting somewhat that big is not possible. She has other shit she
yeah.
does.
So you and I agree on that regard. So we're
Yeah,
on the same page. All right, fair enough.
but I just want people to know I don't really care that she's that big. I thought it was funny. I was busting people's heads in, but um it is like weird, you know.
Right.
And it almost seemed cartoonish because, like I said, Ellie, I get it. She when you do her aerial attack, she jumps and stabs someone. Abby literally jumps up and smashes down like she's a superhero or some shit. Like it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't get to do that, so I can't comment on it. But it
all right,
sounds
I'll put
dumb.
it to you like this. You know how Drake will jump down and he'll punch him in the face?
Mm-hmm.
At least maybe, it could have just been a bad angle. When I did it with Abby, 'cause I only did it once. She just punches straight down on the top of their head, like almost like she's hoping to smash them into the floor.
Well, hell,
It's
she weighs probably 387 pounds, so
she might be able to pull it off. I don't know.
because you can hear
But
her walking when she walks. It's like boom, boom, boom. Like to me, it just Abby's character model, dude, was just wrong in every way. I can't get past it, and I don't apologize for it. It is what it is.
well, the last thing we'll do before we finish up with the relationship parts of the story is Abby, Yara, and Lev.
mhm.
Okay, this is where I was really confused because I never got this feeling just because Abby killed Joel that she's not a regular human being who might care about other people she might meet in the world. So I fully get her, especially after these two Seraphites saved her helping them along,
Right.
right? That I didn't that makes perfect sense because I believe Abby, just like all the other characters, is supposed to be full fleshed out humans that
Hmm.
have swaying emotions depending upon what happens. So anyway, the thing I did not get was Abby told Lev later she went back to save them because she felt guilty. Now I do know after she slept with Owen, she had a dream of going to see her dad and she saw them hanging. Okay, fair enough. Maybe she was just worried about them and they just expressed that through a dream. Cool. But she said she felt guilty about something. And I was trying to figure what exactly does she feel guilty about. I can assume she felt guilty about killing Joel, but I never get that indication. I don't know what she like. This the game never explains. She said she felt guilty about something. That's why she went back to help them. This is what I'm saying. I wish they would explain this because if you don't, or I don't get any type of indication what she feels guilty about, I don't understand her need to go back. I don't understand why after going back and saving them, now when she dreams about her dad, she sees him fine in the hospital. Like that's just a big. It feels like something was missing. Like they maybe took something out the story that was supposed to be told and forgot. I don't know. Like it just seemed odd. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that it is a little off-putting. I wonder if it has more to do with just her and Owen's relationship and him trying to over the years convince her that the wolves are not the plan, revenge is not the move. The move is to go back and find the fireflies and continue on with that path. And so maybe she started to find I'll use the word humanity again. Not that she didn't lost it, because I felt like you're right on the idea that she's still a good person, right? But maybe she thought, yeah, I think there's a I guess you could call that a hole, other than like you could just fill that gap with or hole with whatever you wanted to, really, to make those connect. I don't know, and maybe there's letters there or something else out there that would explain it better. But I just felt like it was because of the conversations she had had with him, and then losing her dad. Those combined with Joel getting her revenge and all that. Maybe she thought, hey, it's time to move on. Let's go help these people out and get out of here and try to start over with the Fireflies. I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's definitely a gap there. I just don't think it's enough
yeah.
of a gap to where it would ruin any one particular thing. I don't think it changes much.
Well, to wrap up the overall conversation with the story, there was more we can get to, but I want to get to the last part, which is like the everybody's talking about agendas and stuff.
Hmm.
Overall, with the story, again, I just didn't care. Like, I'm not even gonna say like. Of course, I recognize the plot holes, the things that just weren't consistent with the first game that made me say, well, that doesn't make any sense. But again, there's a difference with me between watching a story, playing through a story, and it's bad, and I'm like frustrated or irritated. Then there's, obviously the opposite of that. I like the story and I'm having fun experiencing it. But to me, the worst, and even Neil Druckmann said this, and I know what he means. The worst is not someone disliking or hating or loving or liking. It's when you don't care. Yeah, he got me in the I don't care. Because I just, even after a while, even though I was recognizing plot holes and issues, yeah, I would point them out because I'm streaming, I'm trying to entertain my stream. But honestly, I don't care that they're there because I'm just checked out. It's just something. It's just noise at this point because it just doesn't make any damn sense. The majority of it doesn't make sense. Now I will be fair. The actors and actresses delivered their lines pretty well, but when you're not, when the story is stupid, it's just kind of whatever. Like it was good voice acting. I felt the cutscenes and the way they modeled the characters and showed expression was good. My favorite scene in the game is when the guy calls Ellie a dyke because the way they made him look just makes me laugh. Like they really made they. I'm sure Neil told that actor, "We got to make you look like an angry white man." Because they got that really like he really looked like he was disgusted. Like that shit was just making me crack up
I
and
felt
just
like that.
staring at them.
I felt like that scene was like forced. I guess like it didn't. I don't
Yeah,
know
it
who
definitely.
it
We'll
didn't. It
talk
didn't.
about that.
It
Go ahead.
didn't seem necessary. Like I don't. In order to portray what they were trying to portray later on, it just doesn't seem necessary.
I'll explain why that is necessary, but that's when we get to the politics and the agendas. That matters. It matters, but it's when we get to and the last thing I'll say about the story is the flashbacks. Um, I other than them break like it was weird because like the game would be how do I put it? Okay, you play like this wasn't a flashback, but they even did at the beginning of the game. Joel dies. You're hyped, or you should be hyped. You're ready to go. You're ready to play. Nah, do this wall puzzle thing and do all this walking and calm down. Like that was weird. Or
I agree. I
like
agree with that.
Ellie.
They should have allowed you to use your anger in gameplay, like that scene where you chase that girl down and then fuck her up. That should have been moved around. So I know it's complicated in the story and how they layered it, but like that scene where you fuck that chick up in the hospital, that should have happened. You should have been allowed to play that out right after Joel dies. I feel like it would have been more intense because you, the player, is mad because of Joel, so you could take it out on that character, and then you do the open world part where you're with Homegirl. Because there's a disconnection in emotion on the player with the character. It doesn't make sense.
I also feel like that scene in itself was just like really whack
What part?
because the
Which one?
scene where you're beating Nora, it's just like really like I'll speak to this. Like I will agree. Any reviewer who is saying this game was just overly violent and it made them feel so, I'm like, what? Like, what do you listen? If you felt that way, I'm not going to say that you're wrong if that's how you felt. But I've been playing games for 20 some odd years, and I'm like, I've seen way more gruesome things happen in a game.
In cartoon ways. You never like this. Like this is by far the
No,
most violent game.
this made me feel not a damn thing.
No,
Like in a
I'm saying that the actual violence in this game is by far some of the most
oh
real.
yeah, yeah. When it comes to realistic violence, yeah,
It's
I
not like
will say
Mortal
this is
Kombat.
more.
Mortal Kombat's way worse, but obviously it is. But it's cartoony. It's not in the
But I'm
same
just
way.
talking about like the feeling of the violence didn't make me because take God of War, right? The God of War 3, the scene where you're fighting, I forgot the Greek god that does
Right, but
water. I think
that's done
Poseidon.
in
Like
right, but that's all done in a comic book way. It's not done in a
no, I get that, but what I'm trying to say is that I felt something. Now, of course, I'm Kratos, so I'm feeling like, yeah, fuck you. Like I'm Ellie. I didn't feel like them couple whacks was like honestly, them
I
whacks didn't
had
even feel
it
like it had any force
that
behind them. Like they like
that was my complaint as well. Like you should have been able to do that. You should have had control of that. Had you could
oh,
if
and
you were
I will say this. You may not you know this game for the time, and I would still say this is the most violent game I've ever played. And for the time, this was probably the most realistic violence you've seen the most extent because it was kind of over exaggerated times. Manhunt.
I never actually
That
played.
that
I never actually played that.
oh Manhunt is disturbing. Like
Well,
that's
I've heard that. I haven't played it, but the Punisher 2 was one of my favorites of all time because of the
I might have
violence.
to try that out. I never played that game.
That game was, and you asked me why I don't like the original Max Payne's because you go play the Punisher and you go, oh, okay, I get it. It's just better, way better in every way.
But yeah, the that scene with Nora, I felt like and even how they built it up, like they have Ellie breathing heavy, like she's enraged, and you're thinking like she's about to do something foul, and she just whacks, whacks.
Yeah,
Nora doesn't even like really saying. She just kind of like, uh,
again, you should
uh.
have had control. I think they screwed up by making that a cutscene as opposed. I think they were hoping it was going to be more like the David scene, but it doesn't play out that way. At least for me, it didn't
I
play
should
out
have
that
been
way.
able to stuck that pole down her throat or something, like something crazy. Like
Yeah, I
they
mean,
should they should have let me do. I mean, I'm not saying they have to go that far, but I'm just saying like for that build up, for me, it was just like, well, this was very mundane. Like I've been whacking people
right?
the
No,
whole game with with a
again,
pipe.
you should have been able to do it via gameplay or do something like even if you want something more gruesome, I'm down for that. I'm just saying that that should have been done in gameplay, not a cutscene. I think that's where they fucked up.
And they got the capability of it because that ass whooping Abby gave Ellie was pretty like
Right? Yeah, something similar.
bad.
Like
That
right. So that's my point. Is like that should have been a gameplay. It shouldn't have been a cutscene.
yeah. So unless you got some more things you want to bring up with
Well,
the story,
the ending where you at
okay then.
with the revenge tale.
Uh, I mean, my only again, I was checked out. I didn't care. The only thing about the ending, I just felt like again, it just didn't make any sense. It felt after Abby beat Ellie, let her go again. Um, Abby went to go see about the Fireflies, got caught by the Rattler group, which just seemed weird. That if you read the notes, they do flesh them out a little bit, but honestly, they don't flesh them out any more than what you could kind of figure out. They're slavers, they're crazy people. They you learn more about how they work. Like if you're really good in the group, you'll get a lot of food, or whatever the case. But Ellie, again, this is where I get a little confused. Ellie has PTSD from Joel dying. No indication of her having PTSD from all the other people she murders. Which, to be fair, maybe she just doesn't have PTSD because of them. But it's a little weird because you keep showing Ellie shaking after killing Nora and seeming distraught for what she did, but she doesn't have PTSD over that. She's very upset that she kills a pregnant woman. Again, it's some type of a disconnect here of not seeming like an emotion is shown, but it's shown for a scene and then it goes away immediately later, and it's weird. So Ellie has PTSD. She doesn't sleep. She doesn't eat, which they hinted to ever since Joel originally died. She's been like that for a while, and she feels like she needs to go and kill um, Abby still. Now, I will say this: I don't know. This is pure just up for interpretation. Did Tommy set up at Ellie, or did he just do the same stupid thing Ellie did, which is leave a map again? I don't know. I just want your opinion on that.
Um, I don't know. I didn't really like overthink that whole part. I was just
Yeah,
excited that we got
I
because
think it
at
would have been
first
interesting.
my first playthrough I thought that whole thing with Dina was the end of the game. I was pissed off. I was like, this is some bullshit. And then I thought they were basically going to leave it at a cliffhanger for part three, and I was mad about it. But then when we got the gameplay again, I was like, oh fuck yes! I was like super excited. So I didn't even have I don't even I have no opinion on it because I don't.
Yeah.
It's not something that ever entered my
Well,
brain.
rather not, that's speculation if Tommy left the map on purpose or not. But you know, Ellie goes off to kill Dina, not Dina, Dina, getting these names confused, to kill Abby. And again, let me just bring up some brief rundowns of stupid moments in this game. One, The Last of Us 1 did this as well. They got to stop with these jump cuts. Jump cuts work when it's reasonable. Don't jump cut away from something where you're like, how in the fuck did they survive or make it out of this? This doesn't even make sense. Dina is pretty sure she has a concussion and she has an arrow stuck in her and she's bleeding out. Ellie's arm is broken. She probably is suffering from some type of concussion because her eyes rolled in the back of her head from the ass whooping. And she's not bleeding out, but she's severely injured. From what we know, Jesse's dead. For all we know at this moment, Tommy's dead. How do they get out of this situation? We don't know. We just gotta guess. I don't fucking know how do they hit. I could go on for days about how that doesn't make sense.
That's also present in a fuckload of movies and TV shows. I mean, I think that's partially.
And I would say that's bad too.
But I think there's a way. I mean, I could want to see more details on all that too. But the idea is that does it add to the story by knowing these little subtle details that most people won't give a flying fuck about?
Well, I will answer that with this. I think it would, but at the same time, I know why writers do that because I'm not a professional writer, but if you ever wrote a story before, which you kind of have to if you go to freaking school, you do stuff like that when you don't have an explanation, so you just jump ahead.
That can be true. It can also be because maybe they had a bunch of shit in there because we know that that people take stuff out of the story all the time because maybe through playtesting they're like, oh, we explained this out, or we have to drag out this cutscene, or we have to do this, and it's just ultimately when you look at the whole scope of the game, how much of an impact do these parts have? And they just remove it because at the end of the day, they're like, we have budgets to maintain and release dates and all these things. Like, there's a lot that goes into this that we don't know. So
easy. Write a note.
Maybe, but
I would have took the note. I would have took the note at the least.
How does that affect the game at all or the story?
Because just like how Ellie's journal explains further detail that they didn't feel like a cutscene was warranted. Yeah, write a note. Write a note of Ellie saying something like it was a struggle getting them out of there or something. I don't know, something.
If they have that, do you give the game a 6 now?
Hell no, I don't give the game a 6 because of that.
Why are you bringing it up? Shut up. All right.
No.
That's dumb.
All right. Another. This is near at the end of the game. This is another thing that just doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure how long Ellie is hanging from that tree, bleeding to death. But as someone who has suffered from a condition where I was bleeding every day, and I can tell you that you bleed for long enough, you'll get dizzy and lose consciousness. On top of the fact she's hanging upside down.
Right.
I would imagine Ellie should be dead or close to death. Ellie shows that she's injured and she's in some type of pain, but not as severe as
we don't know
that wound is. That's crazy.
We know that she sews it up. They show that. We don't know how much time has passed.
I can imagine some type of time has passed because the Rattlers that we saw are the same Rattlers. They are wearing different clothes. Now, arguably, it could be the next day, but I'll be fair. Even if it was just the next day, she would probably be dead. Ellie must have like the Wolverine. What's the thing Wolverine has, which just heals or something? The X Factor or some shit. That shit is crazy. Like I said, all right. Look, at this point, I don't even care. I just said whatever. This story's crazy. Cool. But to wrap this stuff up, the thing I didn't like about the ending, and Neil mentioned this in a recent discussion, that the whole thing, everybody's talking about Ellie. Oh, this is such a big annoying thing that people do. People need to stop. It's one thing if you want to add your 2 cents onto a story and say that's what you're doing, compared to saying that this is what the story says. People are assuming that Ellie forgave Abby and Abby forgave Ellie. There's nowhere in the story where this is said or even explained or hinted at or expressed Case in point, we know Abby didn't forgive Ellie because Abby said, "If I ever see you again," well, she didn't say if I ever see you, I'll kill you, but basically that's what she was saying. Don't let me see you again. She's going to see. I don't know how you forgive someone if the next time you bump into them, you're planning to murder them. That's. So I don't understand them saying Abby forgive
Dude,
Ellie.
I can explain to you, but you're not gonna like my answer.
Go ahead.
This story in real life plays out on the podcast I just had the other night called the Patio Podcast number 2. If you want the answer to it, go watch that podcast.
All right, I'll have to check that podcast out.
And that's the honest to God truth because there's no other way. There's no other way to explain this game until you hear a story that happened in real life, and then you'll get it.
Okay.
And you don't have to agree with it, but it is what it is. And I think, and that was the gist that I got from it as well when I watched it for the first time. It like was fucking amazing to me, and I 100% agreed with how they did that. And so you might not agree, but guess what? Most people didn't agree with the last ending, and that's why people talked about it for 7 years. So guess what? We're gonna be talking about this again for another 7
Oh,
years.
I don't even care. Oh, I'm not talking about
I'm
this
saying
game.
I'm saying
I get you.
yeah.
But I personally am done talking because unless something crazy happens, like something wild happens with The Last of Us 2, or the multiplayer finally gets announced, I'm probably not talking about this ever again. But now, when it comes to, like I said, Neil admitted that scene where you see a flashback of Joel
Right.
was added way late.
Right.
And they did that. Like the other people on the team were like, let's just add that in and let people speculate. I'm glad they said that because that they admit that scene had no true. They didn't come up with no true meaning behind the flashback. It's just there to be something there to make you think. Did Ellie think of Joel and forgive Abby? This is all your interpretation. That's what it's for.
Right.
I'm glad they made that interview so people can now stop saying that the story said something when it doesn't. They literally admit that's there for you to speculate. Now, you have every right to speculate, but don't say the story said something it didn't say. Now, the reason I'm bringing up the ending is because, one, I felt the fight was stupid. Again, maybe I'm reading too deep in this. Abby is hanging from a pole tree thing. She has not eaten in however long. She's also injured. You can tell she has wounds on her. She's malnutrition. Or the word is she's weak. She has a full fist fight with Ellie. Now you can tell by her swing, she's like swinging weird because she's tired. But it's like, Ellie has a injury that she, when you're playing as her during the segment, doesn't express that she's ill. I get it. When you play the game, they are fine. When you're in the cutscene, they're not. But I just thought that whole scene was stupid. You came to kill them. Why did you cut them down? Why did you seem like you just came to help them? Why, if you want to fight, did you use your knife and not your fist? Like, all that stuff like that. I don't feel any satisfaction. Like, when you fight a boss and you might feel like, yes, it's time for us to go toe to toe. I got a blade and you don't. Like, that's kind of like whack. Like it's like unfair. Like, you're like, I know Ellie's injured, but like
Ellie also got her ass beat by her twice. I think she realized that she can't win hand to hand.
But hold on, she's not as big as before. I think, as a matter of fact, I might say Ellie might be a little more swole at this point. Like, she might be a little bit more physically fit. But I just felt like that whole scene was like, again, I checked out. I didn't care, but just as a gameplay thing, I was like, it's just a melee combat again. But, bruh, the finger biting, that really, that come on. Again, Abby biting off that big chick's ear. Let me explain why that makes sense for those who don't know. Your ear doesn't have bones in it. Well, the skin around it. It's no bone. It's just basically skin tissue and cartilage. Yes, your teeth can penetrate that and bite someone's ear off. You want me to believe, first of all, I've never heard of someone with regular teeth biting through someone's bones, joints, because she got near the knuckle. That's how far this bite was. and she bit off 2 fingers. The human jaw is strong, people. It ain't that strong. And then we're talking about someone who's like halfway dead doing this, who's drowning in the moment. And please do not tell me adrenaline. Like, no, no, it's just crazy. And the only reason I can even think they did that is to have the little part at the end where Ellie can't play the guitar. I think they could have came up with, you know what they could have done that would have made it much more better, and it would have still got the same effect. When she slapped the knife away, just let her have grabbed the knife. Abby and Ellie got sliced or something. I mean, that's still kind of a little bit unbelievable because a fucking butterfly knife ain't that damn sharp. But at least that makes more sense in the teeth fighting. Whatever. Happens
there's so many footage of people getting their fingers bit off, but okay, whatever. That's fine.
By a half dead person.
Dude, there's some of that like you. I don't even want to.
I got to see a person biting another person's finger off near the knuckle. I got to see the whole thing. I got to see this. I don't want to see this, but I do not believe that's
just
real.
Google it, dude. I'm sure there's plenty of them out there. Hold on. I don't even know how to address any of that without like.
It's just dumb. That's all I'm basically saying. It's just dumb. Like, it's just all stupid. It's all stupid.
God. All right, fair enough. I'm not. I have nothing to say. I'm not gonna. I mean, you're already checked out at this point. So clearly you were just going all in at this point with your viewers, trying to dissect it.
And this is the last. And I didn't even figure this out. Last parts about the ending, and we'll get to the agenda. Then we're gonna wrap this up. The last parts about the ending that's kind of ridiculous. Well, not really ridiculous. This had fans speculating. Ellie does not leave with Dina's bracelet, but she has the bracelet on when she arrives back at the farm, which made a lot of fans speculate that maybe she went back with Dina and she's back with Dina and they're good or whatever or something like that. No, I just think they made a fuck up. I'm not even going to hold them to that. I just think it was an accident. I think they said it would be powerful if she had the bracelet on her to show she still cares about Dina, but she didn't leave the house with it. She doesn't have it on her. So, yeah, it is weird that it's there, but I'm just going to ignore that. Now, what I'm not going to ignore is the fact that you want me to believe it took Ellie days, possibly weeks, to get to Santa Barbara, and it probably take the same amount of time to get back. Not even speculating or counting any type of slowdowns in her journey. You want me to believe that her hands still have blood on them and she didn't wrap or bandage them up not one of the damn time, but she changed the shirt? Come on. All right. That's the last thing I want to say.
They looked like they were burned or whatever to stop the bleeding.
They might have been burnt, but there was blood around her hand, and I know that looked. I don't know. That's just stupid to me. It's just stupid.
I thought they just looked like borderline infected to me.
No, that was blood. And I think when the scene first starts up, you might still see some, like a little bit of it dripping. That might be me remembering wrong, but there's blood on her fan.
Just to give you context, my dad's missing the same 2 fingers, and his shit will still bleed. And that happened to him when he was 8 years old.
They bleed today?
Yep.
They're healed?
Yep, completely healed over, skin growing back and everything. They cut open real easy.
That's all right. Look, let's say their hand is still bleeding.
I don't remember there any blood. To me, it looked like they were singed to me or burnt.
Okay, well, let's say you don't bandage them. You don't just walk around with open wounds.
Well, once you burn it in, I mean, you don't really need bandages for the most part.
David.
And again, like you said,
all right.
Well, and like you said, it took forever to get back there. So yeah, I mean, and part of it is just if she would have had bandages on there, it didn't have the same effect as she's playing the guitar. So part of it's just a design choice.
I'm done. We could talk about the this basically leads into the agenda. So we're basically in the agenda territory. Ellie, let me explain to you why that scene with the bigot thing, not the bigot thing, that too, but the scene with the guy calling her a dyke.
Mm-hmm.
That's an agenda. Okay, I'll explain the agenda, but before I say this, I have to say this statement before I say what I'm about to say about all these agendas. I do understand that there are people who talk about agendas in games or agendas in any type of medium, and those people might have an issue or a chip on their shoulder, and or maybe bigoted or whatever you want to label them. Everyone who notices agendas in games or whatever aren't those people. I would ask, I mean, I could tell you that I'm not one of those people, but you know what? It's best if you just listen to me, judge me by what I say. Don't just assume that I'm like everybody else, because that's what everybody likes to do. They like to say, oh, you see agendas in games and you're just like one of these other people. No, everybody's different. Now, now we already know that Neil Druckmann said that he wanted this game to be very diverse and have a bunch of representation, blah, 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 blah. Cool. So I saw too many funny tropes with a lot of characters. Now, to speak to that scene, the white guy mad at the lesbian couple, calls them a dyke. That right there, again, that's just typical. We gotta have a character to have a problem with you being gay. We gotta show that, right?
Okay.
We gotta perpetuate a stereotype. Fine, but it's there for that reason, because again, this game is a lot of this game is representation for the rainbow community. That's what that is. They resonate with that. That's why that's there for anyone that, because even you were like saying the scene force are weird. That's why that's there. Now let me tell you what the more hidden message that some may not pick up. Why Ellie wanted to forgive Joel. Now this is never said verbatim out her mouth, but Joel has been indicated by Jesse and other people that Joel has been trying to get in Ellie's good graces after they had a falling out, right?
Wait, say that again.
Jesse mentioned how like Joel is, treats Ellie different and kind of is nicer to her and more hard on him. This was to let you know that Joel has been trying to get back in Ellie's good graces after their major falling out.
Okay.
Ellie has been shunning that for however long. I think it's been some years. So none of his things that he does works on her. Like none of the things he does makes her say, Joel may have did me wrong, or I don't like what he did, but he's still a good guy. I still want to, try to work this out. Ellie mentions in her diary that she never came out to Joel, right? Even when she was dating that Catwoman, he never was aware of this. He's only aware that night. And in that night, he's perfectly fine with her being gay. Nothing wrong with that. But this is when Ellie decides, I want to try to forgive you. Let me explain to you, again, the agenda here. This is, again, feeding into the rainbow community because, again, if you ever met anyone that's gay, not anyone, not everyone, but there are some gay people that have a chip on their shoulder about being gay. I know gay people like this. I met gay people like this. They are the type that might have an attitude and just assume you don't like them because of their sexual preference. No matter what the situation is, they could be just being an asshole, has nothing to do with their sexual preference, and you don't like them, and they're just assuming it's because they're gay. These same type of people, because they're that wrapped up in that part of their life, if you express you're cool with that, they'll want to be cool with you and be your friend, and if you do something to them that's not so right, they might forgive you easier or faster because you agree with their life decisions. All that was that right there. It's very odd that Joel has been trying to get in Ellie's good graces for mad long. None of it matters. The night he defends her for a guy calling her a dyke, she now realizes that she's been an asshole to him and wants to go talk to him. Now, a lot of people may not see this stuff, but if you ever been around some gay people or even seen some media where they tell the stories of gay people, this is just it's no different than watching a damn movie. It'd be no different than watching a movie with black people in there playing basketball. It's just a stereotype. It's just a typical story that, again, it's to feed into the same old notion of people don't like us because we're gay. That's what that was. So for anyone that says, how is that an agenda? I'm explaining to you where that comes from. You don't have to agree with it, but that is what that is. That's why that's there. It's no different than what's another thing that happens in this game?
I don't. As
Go ahead.
my wife's pointing out, the way you're remembering it is not. I don't think that's accurate. I don't
What
think.
part am I not remembering?
I don't think the way Ellie ends up talking to Joel and all that, it was more like she was mad at him, and then it kind of like organically leads off to this where like they're not they didn't really make up though. They just kind of had this like moment. I don't remember it being like all of a sudden she's back on his side again because she's
No, no,
gay.
no. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that remember the scene where Dina and her are kissing? The guy calls her.
Right, I get all
Joel even beats dude up or something. It's implied he attacks him after the fact or whatever, right? Joel again, he has been trying to get in Ellie's good graces the whole time. She doesn't care about those other things. Only on the night in which Joel defends her after this guy calls her a dyke does she really. You can tell by her facial expression and how everybody kind of looks at her like she's crazy because she told Joel off after helping her. She realizes I'm being an asshole. So then she wants to go talk to him. And then in the middle of the conversation, when he says, "Is Dina your girlfriend?" She's like, "I don't know." And he cuts her off and says, "Listen, I don't know what her intentions are, but she'll be lucky to have you." And she calls him an asshole, not because she calls him an asshole because she wants to be mad at him, but she really likes that he's cool with this. You know what I'm saying? That she's happy about this. There's nothing wrong with that.
You're
That's
going
what
like
happened.
oh.
That's like literally what happened. That's not even up
But
for
I'm like,
speculation.
what's your point? Like, what do you? I don't.
My only point is when people are saying,
Yeah,
"What are you
that
guys
wasn't even
talking about?"
I don't even think that was the same night. It was like
No, that was that night. That was that night
what makes you say it was that night?
because they mentioned that it was that night,
I thought
and they're
weren't
wearing
they?
the same clothes other than she got a jacket on. You can tell she has on
Uh,
the same shirt because you can see the shirt through the. I got a very
okay.
good memory. You can see the shirt through the jacket because the collar. It's the same night. And they
Okay.
even mention it because remember the next day is when Jesse wakes her up and she mentions me and Joel had a talk. It was the same night.
Okay. I still don't get what the point of it is, other than that you're
No,
just.
my point is that the reason I wanted to bring up the people talking about different agendas happening in the game is because people are acting as if they don't exist. Now, if you don't agree with them or you don't view them as an agenda, that's fine. But I'm just trying to explain to people
But
that these are the
what's
things
the
people are saying.
goal of the agenda?
Oh, the only goal of that agenda that I just mentioned
Hmm.
is just to have LGBTQ representation, which is nothing wrong with that if you want to put that in your game. But when people are trying to say seems forward, seems typical, stereotypical stuff, it's no different than like having a trope character. They do it in a tropey way. That's what people were saying. It's there, but it's not fleshed out as detailed. Like there's even people that are LGBTQ saying, "Hey, you put in a trans character, and we'll get to that in a minute," but they just kind of here and exist. You don't really go far as much as you're trying to portray that you're going to show this side of humanity in a light that we never seen before, which is how they were marketing, not marketing the whole game, but to them. You know, again, if you pay attention to a lot of media today, they'll throw in this stuff, this any type of representation, whether it be throwing a black character, gay character, whatever,
Yeah, it's
and they're
happening.
just there.
It's happening all over
Yeah, so
Hollywood.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That
But
they just,
but
honestly are
again,
just there.
right? But so I've always had the same stance that I've always had. It's just it is. I want if when it comes to art, entertainment, whatever, I want the artist to do whatever they want to do. Period. I have no. I will never. I might disagree with stuff, but I want them to do what they want to do ultimately. So that's my entire
No,
stance.
they could do what they want to do, but I will say that when is it them doing what they want to do when they have been pressured to do so by outside forces?
I don't think they're
I'm not
pressured by
saying
outside
that. I'm
forces.
not saying that, but I'm just saying for anyone who, if you're like, what I'm saying is, if an artist was pressured by outside forces to do something,
That's stupid. You should, I mean, in my
Which
opinion, that's dumb. It's again
okay,
that goes against what I'm saying, which is
okay.
let
I'm just making sure because some people don't think that's a difference. I'm not saying Neil was pressured, but you know
I
that
think
happens.
again, people should do what they want to do. Period. Across the
Mhm.
board, like that's just what it is. So you know, so if somebody's influencing them or making them do something, that's going against what I think.
Now, this is the one that gets me the most is when people try to claim that there is no religious cult that doesn't like gay people. So I don't even know why they don't know this because the Seraphites are definitely a religious cult that do not like Lev, who is trans, and trans is under the gay thing, and they want to kill Lev. I don't know why people are trying to act like this doesn't exist. I mean, maybe if you knew, you can explain, but the people like legitimately, oh, that happens. Or, I think some people just haven't been paying attention to the story because I know some people where I told them Lev is trans, and they're like, no, Lev is a boy. I'm
No,
like, you're not listening
yeah,
to the
it was
plot.
Lev was played by a transgender person.
Yeah, who's a biological female transition male,
Right,
same difference. So
right.
the thing is like again going back to now they want
I'm
to
not
put a do they
disagreeing with
want to
that. People just weren't
yeah
paying attention.
yeah now the thing with that is it's not even the trans representation. It's uh, very interesting enough to the Seraphites seem to be based off of Christians. Why? Because the woman that they worship practically just Jesus. If you read the notes, it's practically supposed to be Jesus. They clearly repeat things from the Bible, not one to one, but they call Lev an abomination. If you don't understand that connection, God in the Bible called homosexuality an abomination, and Lev will be under that spectrum. It's clearly Christian based. It's very interesting that seemed to be a need. And by the way, I'm not religious. By any way, I don't side with a religion. It's very interesting that there was a need to kind of paint Christianity in a negative light. But we all know Neil is Jewish, and we spent the whole time in the synagogue, and they kept boasting up how Jewish people survived the Holocaust. Nothing wrong with that, but it just seemed a little funny to me how like
They said Lev even clarified that the teachings from who you were calling Jesus were pure. It's whenever the people what then after she died, how the people took it and ran with it for power. She even said that. So
okay,
I don't think it was take
like like like
so
Jesus.
all religion, but okay.
No, no. What I'm saying is that to say that they're not Christian based with them repeating things from the
No,
Christian Bible.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just telling you what. But you can make with what you're saying, and you're saying that he painted Jews in a better light and made Christians look bad. I would disagree with that because Lev said, "Hey, was misrepresented to gain power." So he wasn't. It was the people that the humans that did wrong, not the teachings or the religion rather.
But Judaism has done similar things, but that's not ever spoken about when Dina is talking about her beliefs. She's only just talking about how, and there's nothing wrong with this. Jewish people are strong and they survive plenty of people trying to hurt them, and and this, that, and the third. It's just nothing but positive. Now that one segment from Lev, I do remember him saying that, but if we're paying attention to the whole picture, the Seraphites as a whole is maybe through a note they're painted as decent folk, but they're just kind of painted as crazy people.
Well,
Um, for the
most
most part.
think about there's a lot of crazy Christian cults, dude, in real life. And not to mention, uh, as seen in every post-apocalyptic movie ever. Like that's pretty normal, a pretty normal story trope, if you want to call it that. What was it? Um, uh, Gone, Far Cry, what 4, 5, whatever that was that had all that. I mean, it's pretty standard stuff.
I love Far Cry 5. That's what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
I have nothing wrong with you doing that. But again, when people say it doesn't exist, don't get that. And when people are trying to when you boost one religion
I don't know if you.
And
I didn't see it as boosting. She was
oh,
just.
they were boosting. Yes, they was. Oh
She was. She
God,
was. But
yes,
she was
they
just.
were.
She was just talking about. She was talking about stuff. I didn't see it as boosting. I mean, I could
All
see.
right.
I could.
We
I could
didn't take it
see.
that way.
I mean, I
I
know. I
took
could see
that
her.
whole segment like this is the time to rep. I'm Jewish, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm proud to be Jewish, and I'm going to tell you how great our people are. That's what Dina was doing, and it's and the fact that um Druckmann is Jewish, I'm sure in a way that probably was his feelings.
But didn't Lev do the same thing? Boast her. You
No,
know.
I never heard Lev denounce the teachings, but I never heard Lev really like go
That's
hard because there were times
that's
where
all they
like
did.
Abby
That's all she did was to go hard for their religion the whole time.
never heard that. I don't know what you're talking. Go. Not, I never. I heard there were times where Abby would say stuff about the things you're saying is strange or the things you guys believe in is odd, and Lev would just say something like, "You got to learn her teachings. You got to read the." But Lev never just like, "No, we're great. We're survivors, and we're the best." No, that's never happened. I wouldn't say like that's like a normal response. Like if someone says, "Oh, you know, the Bible is just a fairy tale," and someone who is calm and collective respond by, I would encourage you to read it before you judge it.
So
That's
he
all Lev
was
was doing.
so the agenda. I'm to assume is that he was just Neil put that whole synagogue in there just to make people go, oh, right, I don't want to hate Jews anymore. What was the purpose of it?
Oh no, not that I'm not saying that was a that part was a an agenda push. That I'm talking about the whole. We're still sticking on the whole. There is a Christian based cult who goes around and they hate gay people. Remember that was a rumor, and everybody was saying that now people are trying to say after the game is released you can play it. That does not happen, and I'm like,
I think
yeah, it does.
I think the media and or people whoever started talking about that first was like maybe pushing that harder than what was actually in the game for whatever reason, for their own agenda or their own narrative. But I mean, it's clearly there. I mean, I don't people that didn't recognize that just didn't pay attention, I guess.
Yeah, and just to briefly run down these, a lot of feminist agenda. Male, that shit was stupid. Mel is full blown pregnant, and Mel is pregnant. Let me just explain to you what Mel is supposed to represent. Mel is supposed to represent the typical feminist idea that women can do anything while they're pregnant. Can a woman do anything while she's pregnant? Well, actually, no. But yes, a woman can do majority of things she normally can do while pregnant. The argument is, should she? Should Mel be out in the middle of combat while pregnant? Keep in mind, Mel talks about how she wants to drink some alcohol but can't because she has a baby. Because we all know if you drink alcohol and you're pregnant, you can affect the baby's development. But you don't seem to care too much about being out in combat when you didn't have to be while bullets are flying. And then there's plenty of times where we see Mel just do ridiculous things that I don't care how physically fit a pregnant woman is that's that big. Mel is running at full speed. Mel is climbing on steel girders and beams. Mel, there's been times I've seen Mel smash her stomach against fucking walls to climb herself up as if she does not pregnant. That shit is crazy. And the only reason that's there is to feed into that agenda of women are superheroes, and when they're pregnant, they can do anything. That again, women are strong. No one. I don't think anyone that's intelligent will tell you otherwise. I think though, a pregnant woman who makes who's aware enough not to drink would also be aware enough not to go out and put herself in danger when she doesn't have to, because it wasn't like they said she had to go fight. They were trying to stop her from fighting, but I guess she kept annoying them about it and they let her go. It's really weird.
Uh,
That's
it is nonsensical in that light. Agreed. I don't know if it was done with the intent that you're referring to.
and to be fair, I can't say 100% sure either. The only reason I can point that might be true is Neil Druckmann told us the books he reads from that old interview, and he told us the type of things that he's into.
Oh,
this would fit a lot with this.
he's a super what you would call woke dude. Like there's no doubt about that.
And
Like
that's the
at all.
wokest thing. That's super woke right there. And of course, like we know Abby. Like I'm not. We
And
ain't about to go on
and I'm
Abby.
not
Abby being as big as she is, we know about that.
I'm not going to defend him in any way, shape, or form. I think that he tries too hard to appease all these different people instead of just like doing what he wants to do. And maybe that's what he wants to do. Whatever, cool. Again, I'm not gonna knock his hustle. I'm just gonna say he did what he wanted. I guess he did what he wanted to do, and there's a few things that I would change. I thought, whatever. I'm not fully on board with, but it is what it is. Yeah, he's a super woke dude. I mean, what do you expect is going to happen? Uh,
Yeah,
one could
and I
argue,
can't say.
one
Oh,
could
go ahead.
argue, one could argue that Bruce Straley left Naughty Dog because of that. I mean, I've heard that rumor, so who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't say. People ask me in my review, did I feel like the agendas messed up the story? Honestly, I can't even point to that because they're there, but they're not like so woven into the game that I could say that Neil was just focusing on them. I just feel that this story was.
I feel like it was with Abby, but
I mean, well, she's big the whole time. I mean, but I didn't really feel like Abby. I mean, Abby's a superhero, so her doing her superhero things.
she could also be trans, by the way.
Abby. Oh, I will say this. This was a little funny. Everybody refers to Lev as he.
Hmm.
That's stupid. They
Well,
don't know that Lev is trans, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Lev looks like a girl with a shaved head, and Lev sounds like a girl. I don't know why everybody, and then especially when Lev gets some hair on her head, her head. I don't know why everybody keeps referring. Like it's weird. Again, Abby almost seems like she's never even heard of this idea, concept of.
her name is Lily.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying they call the character Lev, and I remember like at the end, remember the Rattlers is describing Abby, and they said it came in with a little boy or something like that, and it's like L- Lev looks like a girl. Just because you shave a girl's head, because I think the person in real life is a transgender person who
Right.
had no surgery either. They just dress like a man would dress. So it's like this person looks like a female, and they sound like a female. And it's like just because you shave someone's head doesn't.
It's all about how you identify though, Grim. Come on now. You know
Oh,
this.
get out of here! But no, I get how that person identifies. I'm saying from anyone else looking at this person who does not know this person identifies as the opposite sex. Why are they just like, oh,
Well,
this is a
because
guy? Like you would be
well,
blind.
because they're trying to be cognizant of that community that they're trying to represent.
You mean the writers?
Yeah.
I mean, but then that fucks up the story. So
I
hold on, now we're getting somewhere.
well, I'm not one that disagrees with that kind of stuff though.
Okay.
That's the same reason why I disagree with Abby being enormous.
You know
I
that
think
that that, that would confuse the story, but
I mean that's you know what I'm saying, like that they could have added more of that in there, and they did that with the scars. Like they would call her about they would talk her as Lily or talk about her as Lily, not Lev.
hmm
So I mean they did that right with those people. They just didn't happen to do it with those other guys.
and I'm
So
sure the Rattlers. I mean, this would be me speculating, but I'm sure when they enslave people, they like probably know what sex they are.
oh yeah, right, yeah,
So the fact that the guy who probably doesn't give a fuck about Lev is calling him a him or her or him or whatever, that in itself is kind of like, oh, you're just trying to make sure you don't potentially offend somebody. But in the context of this plot, he's a bad guy. If you want to say it's bad to call someone who's trans their biological gender, but wouldn't it make sense for the bad guy to do it though? Because he's the bad guy. He's not a good person.
yeah. I mean
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't have an answer for you. I can't answer that.
all right, man.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't. You know, what am I supposed
I
to
think
say?
I think I think that covers the discussion. I thought it was a pretty discussion. We didn't. I mean, we disagreed, but it was regular, like it always is.
Yeah, I don't know how you could ever come to I don't know how you would come to a climax and say, okay, yeah, you've changed my mind or whatever. Like, that was never going to be the outcome. So, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
So you don't
Hopefully,
agree with the 5 out of 10?
no, not even
Oh, okay.
remotely close.
I
Like,
thought I got you for a minute. I thought.
I mean, not even remotely close. Now, hopefully, we can have some common ground if you ever get a chance to play The Last Guardian. Outside of like, you'll hate the gameplay for the most part. I think everybody does. But it's the total experience wrapped up that I think makes up for it and kind of highlights why that's kind of necessary. But yeah, I think The Last Guardian, story wise and whatnot, is fucking just absolutely amazing. It's so good. So I would love to see you play that. I would like to hear your review on it. I don't know if you'll end up liking it. I mean, the camera, manipulating the camera and the controls and all that, sucks ass. But the game itself and what happens and recognizing how badass the AI is and stuff like that, I think you might. I think you might ultimately end up really enjoying it. And the puzzles
Yeah,
are hard. The puzzles are hard as fuck because you have to rely on. It's cool. I really do think you'll ultimately like it a lot, and I'll be willing to bet you'll probably give it an 8 if I had to guess.
I'll pick it up one day. I mean, I wasn't that into Shadow of the Colossus when I was younger, and then I played it on PS4, and I really enjoyed that. And it's made by the same people. So
Yeah, I like it. Shadow of the Colossus has got better gameplay, but the story and the experience itself is way better. The Last Guardian, in my opinion.
hmm well, guys, we did a. I think
Long
it was a
ass.
pretty good gaming, yeah, long gaming discussion. Probably won't have another one of these for a long time with me and David because David doesn't really like gaming discussions anymore. We might talk about some real stuff because I do that on my channel from time to time. But
It just depends. We
yeah,
might be able to do it with like Ghost of Tsushima or Valhalla, Assassin's Creed, because I'm a sucker for those games. I love those. So who knows? We might be able to do it again because you're you're always interesting to talk to in regards to these things. So I don't mind it with you. We might be able to do it again.
yeah.
All
Well,
right,
is there
everybody.
anything you want to wrap it up with?
No, I'm good.
All right.
All right, man. Let's end this damn thing. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for checking it out.